Chapter 573 Mother Goddess of Lust, please subscribe. _2 This means that with Lin Yuan's current strength, he could already be considered invincible among mortals. It's still not enough. Although the gods won't appear in the mortal realm, that doesn't mean they can't descend into it, they are simply restricted by the 24 most powerful prime gods. I still need to cultivate quietly and keep a low profile until I return to the 9th rank, then I will fear nothing. Lin Yuan thought to himself. This return to the 8th layer held no suspense for Lin Yuan, the only surprise was the awakening of his physical body divine ability. The elemental body. Capable of being immune to 90% of all elemental attacks at the same realm. The so-called elements are the interpretation of this world, in the main world prime universe, they are the rules. Elemental attacks are rule attacks. You must understand that for 7th rank, 8th rank, and even stronger evolvers, the primary method is to attack by leveraging the power of rules. Even the power of the world within an inner world is made up of many rules powers converging. The same strike, its might could reach 10. But if it is amplified by rules, its might could possibly reach 10,000, 100,000. Being immune to rule attacks, and up to 90% of them, directly made Lin Yuan almost unbeatable among 9th rank evolvers. Unless with external help, which 9th rank evolver could kill Lin Yuan. Not to mention killing, even inflicting a wound on Lin Yuan was as hard as ascending to heaven, and apart from that, Lin Yuan also had the blood rebirth divine ability, which allowed any injury to recover instantly. The rule attacks from which the elemental body is immune do not overlap with the effects of defensive treasures, meaning both can be used in conjunction. The most important thing is, this divine skill can grow with Lin Yuan's growth. When Lin Yuan reaches the 9th rank, he can be immune to 90% of the might of all rule attacks at the 9th layer level. When Lin Yuan reaches the 10th rank, naturally he can also be immune to 90% of the might of all rule attacks at the 10th layer level. Monstrous, this is truly monstrous. Lin Yuan inwardly exclaimed, such divine skills, coupled with blood rebirth, simply amounted to the strongest defensive divine skill combination. Ending today's cultivation. Lin Yuan returned to Longshan City. In the grand hall of the Longshan family, powerful knights stood patrolling. Patriarch. Upon seeing Lin Yuan appear, a knight immediately greeted him with respectful salutation. In 100 years, the former Baron Longshan had long passed on the title of Viscount and position of family head to Lin Yuan. Regardless of how much Lin Yuan concealed his strength, he had declared more than 80 years ago that he had entered the 4th level, becoming the true top combat power in Longshan Ling and several nearby Viscount territories. The transition of family power went smoothly, mainly because Lin Yuan's strength was sufficient. Many of the past Viscounts and heads of the Longshan family didn't have the power of the 4th level before their succession. It was only after becoming the Patriarch that they borrowed the family's vast cultivation resources to barely step into the 4th level. Lin Yuan, on the other hand, was already at the 4th level before succeeding as the Patriarch. Absolute strength, combined with the potential of becoming a 5th level knight, convinced many members of the family. Ah Ling, that cultivation skill, have you taught it to the family members yet? Lin Yuan asked softly from the Viscount's throne. The Ah Ling he spoke of was named Longshan Ling, who had once madly pursued Lin Yuan, but upon realizing there was little hope, she turned her efforts to the trivial affairs of the Longshan family and was used greatly by Lin Yuan. Patriarch, that cultivation skill is very effective, it seems to have no specific bloodline restrictions. Our Longshan family's prospective knights are practicing it, and they have even uncovered bloodline powers beyond the mountain dragon bloodline. Longshan Ling's voice trembled slightly with excitement. She understood all too well what such a cultivation skill meant. Many members of the Longshan family, despite having the potential to become knights, couldn't practice the Longshan cultivation skill due to the mountain dragon bloodline being too weak within them. But the martial Tao cultivation skill that Lin Yuan gave automatically uncovers the most suitable bloodline rather than being exclusive to the mountain dragon bloodline. Once such cultivation skills become widespread, it means that the number of knights of the Longshan family will surge. The more knights there are, the stronger the Longshan family becomes. The stronger the Longshan family becomes, the more resources they can acquire, which in turn enables them to train even more knights. This forms a virtuous cycle. Since that is the case, let it be disseminated, Lin Yuan said indifferently. The martial Tao cultivation skill he had handed to Longshan Ling was precisely the localized martial path evolutionary path. During this journey, apart from becoming as strong as possible and increasing his power, Lin Yuan naturally did not forget to disseminate the Tao. Before stepping into the realm of supreme beings, the ultimate leap requires more lives to cultivate the martial Tao cultivation evolution path, which would bring greater benefits to Lin Yuan. The creatures of this world are the sources of worship for the gods, and Lin Yuan wanted a share of that as well. Anyway, since there is no strict conflict between the two, Lin Yuan does not need the creatures' worship, he just needs them to cultivate the martial Tao evolution path. Disseminate it. Longshan Ling's heart trembled. She was well aware of how precious the cultivation skill Lin Yuan had given her was. Although its dissemination would maximize the strength of the Longshan family, at the same time, there was no way to prevent the skill from leaking out. Soon, knights from other territories would also get their hands on this cultivation skill, and the Longshan family's advantage would be diminished, even placed on the same starting line. Don't worry, just do as I say, and there won't be any problems. Lin Yuan glanced at Longshan Ling and spoke calmly. His purpose in localizing the martial path evolutionary path was to spread it as much as possible in this world, popularize it among the entire Longshan family, and then have it disseminated further. As for the Longshan family becoming indistinguishable from others. With Lin Yuan, the future Viscount Longshan, the glory of the Longshan family will far exceed Longshan Ling's imagination. And those people from the Lush Church, are they still in Longshan City? Lin Yuan asked about the second matter. The Lush Church is one of the demigod churches that the Empire severely cracks down on, which wandered to the vicinity of Anpu City over 100 years ago. Original essence Qi of Longshan Yuan, the former incarnation, was greatly damaged, and it was closely related to the Lush Church. Over the past century, Lin Yuan had largely figured out the Lush Church's goal, which is to secretly control the Longshan family to quietly collect faith for the Lust Mother Goddess behind the scenes. According to the information Lin Yuan received, the Mother Goddess of Lust is a very powerful demigod who has repeatedly escaped from the clutches of the main god of Rank's church. Although gods cannot directly interfere with the mortal world, as strong as the main god of Rank, they can descend through divine incarnations and wield combat power close to that of a true god. 100 years ago, the Lush Church targeted the original body, Longshan Yuan, but with the consciousness descent of Lin Yuan, he immediately returned to Longshan City and had no intention of going back to Anpu City, causing the plans of the Lush Church to fall through. With no other choice, the Lush Church could only send people to infiltrate Longshan City to see if they could continue to connect with Longshan Yuan. Unfortunately, the alluring vixen who infiltrated Longshan City waited for 50 years. After growing old without any allure left, she still did not encounter Lin Yuan. To be precise, this alluring vixen had seen Lin Yuan up close several times, but Lin Yuan couldn't be bothered with her. 50 years later, the vixen left the scene, aged and diminished, yet the Lush Church still did not give up on Longshan Ling and instead sent another young woman. This time, the Lush Church's aim was not on Lin Yuan but on the few members next in line for succession in the Longshan family. Lin Yuan saw through the Lush Church's intentions at a glance. For an organization like the Lush Church, which is wanted by the Empire, unless absolutely necessary, they would never take action, otherwise, any trace would draw the attention of the Rank Church. After finding out they could not deal with Lin Yuan, the Lush Church preferred to take more time, planning to outlive Lin Yuan and slowly plot afterward. They wish to outlive me. A strange look appeared on Lin Yuan's face. This world's rules limit even 4th or 5th level knights from living past 200 years. In this light, the plans of the Lush Church did not seem so flawed, but that applied only to ordinary 4th or 5th level knights. As for Lin Yuan, even without considering his true lifespan, just the time he could stay, he had 1,110 years. Even if the Lush Church could wait, how would they face the fully empowered Lin Yuan capable of slaughtering true gods in his prime? Chapter 574 Fear of the Demigod, subscription requested. Lin Yuan sat on his throne, deep in thought. For a century, he had intentionally allowed the Lush Church to operate freely, as it was backed by the Lust Mother Goddess, a powerful demigod. Theoretically, even if Lin Yuan were to remove all the covert agents of the Lust Church from Longshan City, it was unlikely to provoke the Lust Mother Goddess into action. But it is always good to be prepared for any possibility. After all, the people of the Lust Church hiding in Longshan City posed no threat to Lin Yuan, who had never feared anyone under the circumstances of maturation over time. It's time to deal with the Lust Church. Lin Yuan had made up his mind. Whether it was because of the grudges of his original self, Longshan Yuan, or the petty actions the Lust Church had taken against the Longshan family over the past century, Lin Yuan had no reason to spare the Lust Church. Previously, Lin Yuan lacked sufficient power. When he recovered to 7th rank, he worried that clashing with a demigod like the Lust Mother Goddess would attract the attention of the ranked church. But now, at least on Earth, Lin Yuan was invincible. Even the divine incarnations of the 24 prime gods had proved far insufficient before him. Underneath Anpu City, this place was a luxurious palace, where groups of beautiful women clad in light veils walked together. A short, plump man followed behind the group, his immense perception absorbing every detail of the palace interior. "This must be the Lush Church's largest new stronghold," murmured the short, plump man. Naturally, it was Lin Yuan, or more precisely, his Taiyang divine spirit. Martial Tao primordial spirit, capable of myriad transformations, Lin Yuan had casually taken another form to come here. Dealing with the mere Lush Church, there was no need for his true body to appear. Over these 100+ years, the Lush Church seems to have thrived quite well. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. The demigod behind the Lush Church, though not a true god, had also acquired some lust abilities, which could make one feel ecstatic. With such powers, the Lush Church had smoothly controlled some upper levels of Anpu City, as well as core family members in several nearby Viscounty territories. The group Lin Yuan was following included some of Anpu City's young second generation, who were specifically here to indulge. The demigod of the Lush Church, if she could gather faith, raise her divine throne, and achieve the position of a true god, then all the lust generated by the humans on Earth would become the source of her faith, Lin Yuan thought silently. For example, the war over God, one of the 12 main gods of the Dark Abyss, grows stronger as human wars become more intense on Earth. Therefore, the war over God constantly tries to incite various wars on Earth, but the 12 main gods of the Ocean of Light are relatively peaceful. The main god of rank, in particular, must maintain order on Earth, which is directly opposed to the war over God. The standard for dividing the gods of the Ocean of Light and the Dark Abyss is not based on good or evil, but on the type of authority and faith they hold. The demigod behind the Lush Church, advocating the indulgence of lust, leans towards the Dark Abyss. But whether it's the main gods of the Ocean of Light or the Dark Abyss, their foundation lies in all beings, in faith. If all beings disappear and faith ceases, the fate of these main gods will also fall. "Sirs, I will take you inside next to enjoy true bliss, so I will be asking for your identities and names," said a seemingly frail and delicate woman, easy to awaken men's protective desires. The young second-generation men of Anpu City lined up in front of Lin Yuan nodded in agreement. Some of them were impatient, clearly not their first visit. Soon, the fragile woman came to Lin Yuan. "This sir," the fragile woman examined Lin Yuan carefully, her expression changing slightly. As a chief admin of Lush Church, she recognized most of the young masters from Anpu City. Asking their identities was just a formality. But now, the frail woman realized she didn't recognize the short, plump man before her. Given the man's distinctive stout appearance, the frail woman would have had a deep impression had she seen him even once. She wouldn't be as unfamiliar as she was now. "Who exactly are you, and what are you doing here?" Although the frail woman's skepticism rose within her, she maintained her composure, trying to stabilize the situation with Lin Yuan. The rigorous screening to enter the underground palace wasn't lax, simply following the large group wasn't enough. Lin Yuan suddenly appearing here meant something significant. "Who I am is not your concern." Lin Yuan grinned, showing his white teeth. "As for why I'm here." "I'm here," Lin Yuan paused for a moment, then stated matter-of-factly, "to kill your god." As soon as he finished speaking, the head of the frail woman before him exploded first, centered around Lin Yuan, the brains of all the beautiful women within a several hundred-mile radius of the luxurious underground palace burst. The young second generations of Anpu City who came to indulge, as well as the core family members from surrounding Viscount territories, suffered the same fate. In less than a breath's time, nearly everyone in the lavish underground palace was dead, including 12 fourth-level knights and 4 fifth-level knights. Now just the deepest part remains. Lin Yuan didn't stop. He continued toward the deepest part of the palace. There was a unique divine power resisting the shadowy influence of Lin Yuan's world. In truth, with Lin Yuan's current strength, even just a primordial spirit, he was not something a mere 7th-ranked demigod could withstand, but in this world, there were the extensive magic webs arranged by the goddess of the magic web from Ocean of Light. Chapter 575 Fear of the Demigod, subscription requested, _2 Lin Yuan. If he unleashed too powerful strength, he would be detected by the goddess of the magic web. The goddess of the magic web is one of the 24 prime gods, at the 9th stage peak, nearing the strength of the 10th rank. Before restoring to his peak, Lin Yuan was reluctant to attract the attention of such a powerful being. Furthermore, once the goddess of the magic web became aware, the other 23 prime gods would definitely also know. The 24 prime gods of this realm, although divided into the Ocean of Light and the Black Abyss camps, all stand from the perspective of the gods and could completely join forces when necessary. Deepest Hall. The emissary of the Lush Church gathered together with several bishops. The youngest son of the Lord of Anpu City has been completely controlled by us. As long as we deal with the few heirs ahead of him, the entire Anpu City will become the garden of our church. There is also the 5th in line of succession from Viscount Qinghuan. He's also under our control. Within at most 200 years, the 50 million li domain of Viscount Qinghuan will belong to our church. 200 years ago, those mad dogs from the Rank Church drove us from the most prosperous capital to this place. One day, we will return, and our God will ascend the divine throne, becoming one of the eternal stars above the sky. The voices of the bishops of the Lush Church were uplifting, all possessing the strength of 6th rank legendary knights, the core strength of the church. Over the years, the Lush Church had taken root in Anpu City, and its influence had only grown, which was evident to the bishops. Although Anpu City is far less prosperous and religiously diverse than the capital, it is much safer. In the capital, within the territory of the Rank Church, the Lush Church was like a rat crossing the street, constantly on the brink of being besieged with little carelessness. In Anpu City, however, it is much safer as long as they are cautious and don't act directly, making it difficult to attract the attention of the Rank Church. It's a pity that we didn't smoothly take down Longshan Ling 100 years ago. Otherwise, Anpu City and many surrounding domains would now belong to our Lush Church, a bishop sighed. The initial target of the Lush Church fleeing to Anpu City was indeed Longshan Ling. The Lush Church spared no effort to control the 4th heir of the Longshan family. If they could have dealt with Longshan Yuan and caused his accidental death at that time, in just a few decades, they would have been able to control the entire Longshan Ling. Then with the power of Longshan Ling, they could have influenced the surrounding Viscount territories, and Anpu City could not have resisted. Unfortunately, Longshan Yuan, that willful scion, unexpectedly turned to become a knight genius of the Longshan family, causing the early investments of the Lush Church to be wasted. A slow start led to continuous delays, and later, the Lust Church, unwilling to yield, specifically set aside efforts to try to win back Longshan Yuan. But still with no avail. If it weren't for that Longshan Yuan, with the strength of the Lust Church, which could have stirred a storm in the capital, how could it have spent nearly 200 years without fully mastering Anpu City? That Longshan Yuan, blocking the footsteps of my god, should die. When the glory of my god covers Longshan Ling, Longshan Yuan will beg for life and beg for death. A bishop spoke. The emissary standing under the statue glanced at the several bishops below and said nothing more. She also extremely despised Longshan Yuan for delaying the precious development time of the church. Just then, the deepest hall suddenly began to tremble. Waves of pink divine power began to boil, trying to protect the few people inside the hole. However, under the crushing of an unknown power, all the pink divine power began to evaporate rapidly. What's going on? Did my god's divine power barrier automatically activate? Did we just get attacked? The bishops were shocked, and the normally calm emissary was also in disbelief. This deepest hall was a stronghold of the Lust Church, a place enveloped by the power of the Mother Goddess of Lust. Even if faced with an attack by a group of demigods, blocking it for a short time was not a problem. The Mother Goddess of Lust, even among other demigods, was undoubtedly a formidable figure. However now, in just a moment, 6/10 of all the pink divine power was evaporated, which was terrifying. Did all the congregation of the church perish? The emissary, clad in black gauze, seemed to have realized something as her expression drastically changed once again. As an emissary of the church, she could feel the life fluctuations of all church members, even sensing the faith power they generated. So when everyone in the luxurious palace died at a mere thought from Lin Yuan, she instantly sensed it. How is that possible? The emissary was astoundingly perplexed. The congregation in the luxurious palace was over 100,000 strong, including many 4th and 5th level knights. Even facing the siege of the ranked church, they would die one by one, not simultaneously. What is this situation? Thunderous sounds echoed. Just then, the large door in this area suddenly burst open. A short, stout man slowly walked in. Who in the end is it? Several bishops were both shocked and furious, staring at Lin Yuan, but the next moment their heads exploded without any warning, strong as 6th rank legendary figures, yet they possessed not a trace of resistance. Respected demigod, may I ask what brings you here? The divine envoy clad in black veils composed herself and immediately spoke with respectful demeanor. Being able to burst in so easily and slaughter 6th rank legendary bishops as if slaughtering chickens, only a demigod of the same tier as the Mother Goddess of Lust could accomplish this. Moreover, not just any ordinary demigod, but at least one as powerful as the Mother Goddess of Lust herself. Facing such a powerful figure, even the prime gods of the Ocean of Light and the Dark Abyss had to manifest their divine powers to suppress, let alone others. Where is your Chich's god? Lin Yuan scanned his surroundings as he asked directly. His action was intended to resolve the threat of the Lust Church, and to completely annihilate the Lust Church, he had to kill the Mother Goddess of Lust that backed it. If the Mother Goddess of Lust did not die, the Lust Church could be rebuilt at any time. I do not know the whereabouts of my god. The divine envoy in black veils was slightly stunned before she continued. However, if your highness wishes to meet my god, I can make contact for you, no need. Too much trouble. Lin Yuan looked at the divine envoy in black veils, his thoughts shifted slightly, and her head likewise exploded. Causality. Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly, tracing the obscure threads of causality to roughly lock onto the location of the Mother Goddess of Lust. Lin Yuan had decimated the Lust Church and slain many followers of the Mother Goddess of Lust. Although he had never directly interacted with the Mother Goddess of Lust, a tie of causality had also formed between them. Utilizing this thread of causality, Lin Yuan could faintly pinpoint the location of the Mother Goddess of Lust. In a place millions of miles away from the plateau of myriad nations. A woman dressed in a pink skirt hem was en route to the plateau of myriad nations, but suddenly stopped. Who in the end is slaughtering my followers? This woman was precisely the mother goddess of lust. As a demigod, unless surrounded by a true god's divine incarnation, she could roam without fear. My hard-earned followers, the mother goddess of lust lamented inside, those incredibly devout followers were not easy to cultivate. She could sense that the church stronghold in Anpu city had been virtually wiped out. I must see who laid their hands on them. The mother goddess of lust followed a certain connection, receiving the final images her followers saw before their death. This was also a power developed after establishing a faith connection. A deity possessed everything of their followers, and could easily access memories and more. Bang, bang, bang. The mother goddess of lust furrowed her brows slightly. In just a few breaths, she saw many images of her followers just before they died, discovering that they had died without even seeing their enemy. The mother goddess of lust immediately checked the final memory of the divine envoy. To become a divine envoy of the Lust Church certainly meant being highly in tune with the mother goddess of lust, and in crucial moments, even becoming a vessel incarnation for the mother goddess of lust. Whoosh! The mother goddess of lust watched the memory images of the divine envoy. Seeing the core hall trembling, her expression turned solemn. Anyone capable of shaking her core hall setting must also be a powerful demigod. Finally, in the divine envoy's perspective, a short, stout man walked in. Subsequently, several sixth-rank bishops died, and after the stout man asked a few questions to the divine envoy, the envoy also died. This method of elimination. The mother goddess of lust widened her eyes. Through the divine envoy's perspective, she finally saw the short stout man making the move, several dead sixth-rank bishops, and the subsequently dead divine envoy. Divine kingdom power. This is divine kingdom power. This person is not a demigod, but a true god. No, wait, a true god cannot descend to the mortal realm. Is he a prime god, overseeing all life and gods? The mother goddess of lust was terrified to her core. Her movements toward the plateau of myriad nations immediately reversed, fleeing frantically away from the plateau of myriad nations. Chapter 576 Cursed Killing. Please subscribe. What virtue or ability do I possess that a prime god would descend upon me? In the skies above, the soul of the mother goddess of lust trembled as the 24 prime gods of the world of light and the dark abyss, who had not made a move in many thousands of years. The demigods who secretly spread their faith among humans were hardly different from worms hiding in dark corners to the eyes of the prime gods, who would cleanse them periodically. The mother goddess of lust had avoided several encirclements by the rank church, not because she was particularly powerful, but because the main god of rank never truly regarded her as a threat. Of course, luck played a part as well. Which one of the 24 prime gods could it be? The mother goddess of lust maintained her frantic pace, trying to calm her mind slightly. She believed that the prime god who acted did not target her specifically but had incidentally dealt with the lust church in the process. Fortunately, I wasn't at the church. A look of relief crossed the face of the mother goddess of lust, believing being at the church and facing that portly man made no difference between her and other believers. Returning to the plateau of myriad nations is out of the question. The mother goddess of lust, like a bird scared by the mere twang of a bow, thought, although the cost this time was grievous, at least I survived. The mother goddess of lust's face brightened. As long as I survive, there's hope to gather faith and lift high the divine kingdom, underground palace in Anpu city. Lin Yuan stood beneath the deity statue and suddenly opened his eyes. Found you. Though bound by cause and effect and separated by countless distances, Lin Yuan located the rough position of the mother goddess of lust. Not in the plateau of myriad nations. Lin Yuan raised an eyebrow. No problem. As long as he utilized the cause and effect, locking onto the position of the mother goddess of lust was easy. Cursed killing. Lin Yuan's expression grew slightly solemn. and, following the rules of causality, traced the cause and unleashed a terrifying power that instantly spanned countless distances. The curse-killing skill was a way of utilizing the rules of causality. To curse-kill someone, a medium was needed, which could be an object or the cause and effect itself between the two entities. Moreover, the realm of the curse-killer must be at least 2 major levels higher than the cursed, and the mother goddess of lust, being a 7th-rank demigod, met the conditions as Lin Yuan's true realm was 9th rank. Lastly, once the curse killing is successful, the curse killer needs to withstand the backlash from the causality rules, paying a substantial portion of lifespan as the cost. The curse killing skill is heavily restricted and not frequently used in the main universe and main world, mainly because the price is too high and it's not a permanent kill, as the cursed, if talented enough, could still be resurrected by a supreme being. In the high skies, the mother goddess of lust, while rejoicing for her escape from a prime god, suddenly turned pale. In her perception, an overwhelming, intangible force, against which she stood no chance, arrived in the blink of an eye. This, before the mother goddess of lust could form a thought, her physical soul was reduced to dust, permanently erased from this world. Dead. Lin Yuan sensed that his causal connection with the mother goddess of lust had vanished completely, confirming her absolute death. If the mother goddess of lust had other means of saving herself, their causality would still exist. Using causality to determine death is a mainstream method among the strong in the main universe and main world. The backlash is coming. Lin Yuan's forehead furrowed slightly, faintly feeling he had lost a trace of his lifespan. It's roughly equivalent to 1,000 years. 1,000 years of lifespan just to curse-kill a 7th-rank life. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. Indeed, this was not worth it. Unless there is some deep hatred, but for a 9th-rank powerhouse wanting to kill a 7th rank, there are too many methods, and the curse-killing skill has the lowest cost-effectiveness. 1,000 years of lifespan, that's all. Lin Yuan didn't care. If this were in the main world, he might lament the loss of 1,000 years of lifespan, but in a traversing world. Given that he already knew his residency time was limited to only 1,110 years, lifespan was the least meaningful thing to Lin Yuan here. Even with 100 million years of lifespan, when the time limit of residency is reached, isn't he still required to return to the main world? Because of this, Lin Yuan did not hesitate to use the curse-killing skill on the mother goddess of lust, since any lifespan in this world was gratis anyway. But in this world, 8th-layer gods, embodying the faith of all beings, seem not to have a concept of lifespan. Lin Yuan thought to himself. In this world, under the rules of heaven and earth, 4th and 5th level knights struggle to live past 200 years, 6th rank legendary knights struggle past 1,000 years. 1,000 years is the ultimate lifespan limit for lives in this world. As for 7th rank demigods, once igniting the divine fire, their nature of life begins to change. As long as their divine fire isn't extinguished, they won't die and can normally live tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years with ease. Although they are still greatly inferior to 7th rank evolvers from the main world, they are already considered to have long life compared to other beings. 7th rank demigods can certainly live tens or hundreds of thousands of years easily, but unless they lift high their divine kingdom, they will still die. And 8th-layer true gods, let alone 9th-rank prime gods, have never been heard of dying of old age unless there was a battle between gods. The Lust Church is reckoned to be dealt with. It's time to go back. Lin Yuan glanced around the grand hall and walked out. Acting against the Lust Church was partly due to the grudge between Longshan Yuan and it, and partly because the region around Longshan Ling was essentially the foundation of Lin Yuan's operations in this traversing mission. Allowing the Lust Church, a destabilizing element, to remain nearby was problematic. Who knew what trouble they could cause, potentially drawing the attention of the ranked church again. Chapter 577 Cursed Killing. Please subscribe. _2 The ranked church was the church of the prime god. Before regaining the 9th rank, Lin Yuan was not keen on interacting with existences of the prime god's level. Now that Lin Yuan had the strength to resolve it, he naturally took the opportunity to erase the Lush Church. Clear away those bodies. At the thought from Lin Yuan, all traces of corpses and blood within the palace disappeared. If it weren't for the fact that the city of Anpu lay above this underground palace, any disturbance would have affected this prosperous city. Lin Yuan even considered making the entire palace disappear. That should do it. Even if someone were to investigate this place later, at most they would think that the Lush Church has relocated again. Lin Yuan finally stood at the palace entrance and looked back one last time. The Lush Church in Anpu's city was secretive, but not entirely without trace. By erasing their presence, Lin Yuan knew it would certainly be investigated later. However, that was all they would be able to investigate. Lin Yuan had already forged the scene, and outsiders would not suspect that the entire Lush Church and their mother goddess of lust had been erased from the world. Magic web. Lin Yuan faintly sensed that sliver of power enveloping the heavens and the earth, which belonged to one of the 24 prime gods, the goddess of the magic web's authority. Building a magic web that covered all of humanity, the more lives that used the magic web, the more colossal the belief power it provided the goddess of the magic web. In Lin Yuan's view, the magic web was not just for communication, it was also the eyes of the goddess of the magic web. If it weren't for the fear of detection by the magic web, preventing the use of enormous power, Lin Yuan wouldn't have needed to enter the underground palace personally. He could have erased the entire Lush Church from outside. Longshan City. Lin Yuan was chatting with his parents. 100 years had passed, and the Longshan Fong couple was still living well without any signs of aging, naturally thanks to Lin Yuan nurturing them secretly with the power of the world. The suppressive nature of this land on lifespan was harsh, but with the power of the world, Lin Yuan was confident in extending the Longshan Fong couple's lifespan to its maximum limit. That is, the millennia only a 6th rank legendary knight was expected to reach. As for more, according to the rules of this world, one would need to ignite a divine fire and change the form of life. However, given the capabilities of the Longshan Fong couple, that clearly wasn't feasible, or else they would have to achieve what Lin Yuan did, ascending to the 7th or 8th layer of martial Tao, which could also significantly extend lifespan. But that was clearly more difficult. Just then, the Taiyang divine spirit transformed into strands of the power of Taiyang and returned to Lin Yuan's body. Lin Yuan then glanced in the direction of Anpu's city. "Son, what's wrong?" Longshan Fong asked, looking at Lin Yuan. "It's nothing, just took care of a small matter," Lin Yuan said casually, having erased the Lush Church, ensuring that Longshan Ling would unlikely be the cause of any issues in the future, saving him some worries. He continued chatting with his parents for a while. Lin Yuan then returned to his cultivation chamber. Whoosh! The Taiying primordial spirit and Taiyang divine spirit appeared simultaneously across from him, and faced Lin Yuan as they sat down. Since he hadn't regained his peak strength, Lin Yuan hadn't brought the mysterious gourd. The two great spirits remained in their soul state, not having used the secret technique, illusory reality, to transform into physical bodies of flesh. "The current pace of cultivation is still too slow. I need to restore myself to the 9th rank as soon as possible, then create more spatial layers." Lin Yuan felt considerable pressure, especially since he and Shilan were still being pursued by Hunyi in the Xianhuang's secret realm. Though the special environment of the secret realm assured short-term safety, who knew what variables or accidents might occur? If possible, Lin Yuan did not wish for his Taiyang divine spirit to be annihilated. The sense of the call from the Xianhuang secret realm was quite appealing. From the 8th to the 9th rank, for me, is just an accumulation of energy. As long as I have sufficient energy, I can quickly return to the 9th rank. Lin Yuan glanced at the eternal stars above the sky, which were the divine kingdoms of the true gods, theoretically harboring infinite energy. But now, Lin Yuan was not suited to stand directly against the gods. "It seems I can only rely on those churches," Lin Yuan thought silently to himself. The churches, as the spokesforces of the gods on earth, also promote the faith of the gods. Although those of the 7th-ranked demigods were also establishing churches, compared to the authentic true God Church, they were simply not up to par. The true God Church indeed had methods to contact the true gods and could, if necessary, summon the divine incarnation of a god's power. Though this divine incarnation could not utilize the power of the god's divine kingdom, it far surpassed the 7th-ranked demigods and was enough to traverse the human world unhindered. However, to support the divine incarnation's intervention, a large amount of energy was naturally required, so each true God Church would store a large amount of divine crystals to summon the divine incarnation of a god's power at any time. In the battle for faith, conflicts would occasionally arise among the gods, even leading to clashes between divine incarnations. And Lin Yuan's target was the divine crystals stored by the various churches, which were extremely pure energy sources, even more flawless than the Tai micro-clear crystal of the main world. Next, you will go look for the divine crystals. No sooner had Lin Yuan thought this than his 2 primordial spirit incarnations understood his intentions, sharing one consciousness as 3 in 1. Communication was simply unnecessary. The 2 primordial spirit incarnations, being embodiments of the soul, could disperse and gather at will, most suited for this kind of mission. Underground Palace in Anpu City. At this moment, several adherents of the ranked church stood at the entrance. This palace should be one of the strongholds of the Lust cult, but for some reason, it's been abandoned. A bishop of the ranked church frowned deeply. The Lust cult had once made a name for itself in the capital of the empire, with many royals and nobles indulging in the cult's hedonistic pleasures. Later, the ranked church discovered that a demigod was covertly gathering faith behind the Lust cult and decisively eradicated them. The remnants of the Lust cult had withdrawn from the capital, and over the years, the ranked church had been searching for traces of the Lust cult. Recently, the movements in Anpu City caught the attention of the ranked church. By the time the ranked church arrived to investigate, they finally confirmed that the Lust cult had stayed in Anpu City. Bishop, it's all clear now. There's no trace inside the palace. It must have been deliberately cleaned by the cult, a church follower approached and whispered. It seems. The Lust cult indeed withdrew voluntarily. The bishop of the ranked church nodded slightly. The palace was too clean, and he could tell from the murals on the walls and some residual rituals that this place was a stronghold of the Lust cult. Bishop Lane's brow furrowed slightly. All the clues pointed to the Lust cult's voluntary withdrawal. But Bishop Lane realized something was amiss. Why would the Lust cult withdraw? Given that the ranked church had not yet discovered them, the Lust cult could have safely hidden here and developed gradually. Why then did they suddenly withdraw? Bishop Lane had dealt with the Lust church many times, even leading the onslaught against the Lust cult years ago. Therefore, Bishop Lane knew the Lust cult well, an influential cult that controlled beings by manipulating their lust, thereby controlling the beings themselves. Throughout the process, it was incredibly subtle. Even those with firm wills found it hard to resist the corruption of the Lust church. As long as one was assimilated by lust, they could provide faith to the mother goddess of lust behind the cult. If the Lust cult and the mother goddess of lust were allowed to develop, the dark abyss would surely gain a powerful true god. Just what? Why would the Lust cult, akin to a rat crossing the street, not run? Would they wait for us to encircle them? Another bishop nearby shook his head slightly. Perhaps. Bishop Lane considered, although he didn't understand why the Lust cult had retreated so cleanly, their cult minds were always crazed, defying ordinary reasoning. However, since the Lust cult has given up Anpu City, they must be hiding somewhere else. Next, we need to investigate every region of the empire, striving to find the new stronghold of the cult. Bishop Lane instructed. Chapter 578 Peak, Seeking Subscriptions. After the Lust church completely withdrew, the ranked church, as usual, inquired about Anpu City and the surrounding viscounties. This matter was then considered thoroughly resolved. Lin Yuan's life returned to peace. In Longshan City, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged in the center of the cultivation field. Rule of time. The great scholars of our human civilization, based on the nature of the rule of time, have summarized 2,173 rule of time models. Lin Yuan pondered. Compared to nearly 10,000 spatial rule models, there are far fewer time rule models, but the difficulty of comprehending the latter is much greater than the former. And even if one comprehends all 2,173 time rule models, it doesn't mean one has fully understood the complete rule of time. To completely understand the rule of time, one needs to derive the last step on their own. The 2,173 time rule models simply provide a direction for evolvers to comprehend the rule of time. I have not yet recovered to the 9th rank, cannot open spatial layers, but I have made considerable progress in understanding the rule of time. Lin Yuan felt something wonderful inside. Over the century, he had comprehended more than 100 time rule models, nearly achieving minor accomplishment. This was a depth of understanding usually possessed only by 10th rank evolvers. Furthermore, Lin Yuan also had deeper insights about space rules. It is not to say that once the complete space rules are comprehended, there are no more debts in the realm of space rules, for space rules are vast and endless, presented in different aspects. What supreme beings comprehend about space rules is on an entirely different level compared to ordinary 9th rank evolvers. The Moyu Tower Masters, Void Interpretation, described the essence of space rules from another angle, benefiting Lin Yuan greatly, giving him new insights every time he reviewed it. Is everyone here? Lin Yuan glanced around and noticed that many members of the Longshan family had already gathered at the edge of the cultivation field, watching him fervently. A trace of invisible and illusory power began to converge towards Lin Yuan. This world is indeed suitable for following the path of belief. Lin Yuan knew that the power converging was the belief from the Longshan family members in him. This would be extremely incredible in the main world prime universe. In the human civilization of the main world, some evolvers also tried to follow the path of belief, but found that the power of belief was hard to gather, while it was much easier in this world. Unfortunately, the power of belief is too dependent on living beings. If the believers disappear or die, gods who rely on belief as their foundation will also lose their source of power. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. Compared to the path of belief, he still preferred to amass power within himself, even if spreading the evolution path just made Lin Yuan's ultimate leap a bit easier. But that's not to say that without spreading the evolution path, Lin Yuan couldn't step into the 12th rank. Lin Yuan's thoughts wandered as he looked at the growing number of Longshan family members. In order to better spread the martial Tao cultivation skill, Lin Yuan every so often lectured within the Longshan family on the key essence of martial Tao cultivation. The leader, that's our leader. The leader is so powerful, just watching him makes my heart tremble. Of course, our leader, the Longshan family head, is regarded as the number 1 4th level knight in several major viscounties, and in the future, he is expected to become a 5th level grand knight, a super genius. The Longshan family members excitedly discussed, with many not practicing the martial Tao cultivation skill, but came specially to see Lin Yuan. Over the century, Longshan Ling's development had caught the attention of several neighboring viscounties. These viscounties joined forces, sending over a dozen peak 4th level knights to Longshan City, trying to pressure the newly appointed Baron Longshan. Those peak 4th level knights were beaten by Lin Yuan single-handedly, without even a chance to fight back. Since then, the several viscounty territories no longer dared to consider any designs against Longshan Ling. In their view, the strength of Baron Longshan was already nearly close to a 5th level Grand Knight, and entering that rank was just a matter of time. What the peak 4th level knights from these viscounties did not know was that the Baron Longshan they faced was on par with a true god, a terrifying existence. Time passed. Quickly, 2 hours went by. Lin Yuan's lecture was coming to an end, and the surrounding Longshan family members listened as if spellbound. Given Lin Yuan's understanding of the essence of power, even if he wasn't skilled at teaching disciples, his description and explanation of martial Tao cultivation directly pointed to the core. The Longshan family members, if not understanding immediately, at least had some insights, and could gain more by thinking and reviewing after returning home. Above Longshan City. A slightly distorted space. Several figures were standing there, intently watching Lin Yuan below, who was giving his lecture. The three figures at the forefront, with subdued auras, were all 6th-level legendary knights, the Empire's ultimate reserve strength. On the plateau of myriad nations, perhaps the most powerful empires have demigods of 7th level, but most do not. 6th level is already the limit. 7th level demigods generally have two choices, one is to serve a true god, and the other is to secretly spread beliefs, attempting to become a god themselves. Lord Fabian, the martial Tao cultivation skill is spread by that Baron Longshan, said a blonde young man respectfully to the elderly man standing at the forefront. Fabian, a myth of the Empire, a peak 6th level legendary knight, even likely to ignite divine fire and step into the realm of the 7th level demigod. Chapter 579 Peak, Seeking Subscriptions, _2, in my view, the martial Tao cultivation skill is nothing special, although it can encompass the vast majority of bloodlines, it cannot compare to our imperial cultivation skill when it comes to targeting specific bloodlines, another young man couldn't help but say. The Longshan family made their martial Tao cultivation skill publicly available, and after spreading rapidly, it likewise reached the imperial family of the empire. Fabian immediately realized the importance of the martial Tao cultivation skill, which might lead to a revolution in all knights' cultivation skills, and promptly brought his people to Longshan City to discreetly observe that Viscount Longshan. You should say, our imperial cultivation skill cannot compare to the martial Tao cultivation skill. Fabian glanced at the young man and shook his head. This Viscount Longshan has unlimited potential and could very likely step into the 7th rank. Once these words were spoken, the others around him were immediately dumbfounded. Had they ever heard Fabian give such high praise to a knight? Unlimited potential. Very likely to step into the 7th rank. Good heavens! Were these words really coming from the usually proud Fabian? You don't believe it. Fabian's tone remained calm as he continued to listen carefully to Lin Yuan's lecture below. He couldn't see through Lin Yuan's strength and didn't detect anything out of the ordinary, but from every single word Lin Yuan uttered about the essence of power and the essence of cultivation, he faintly felt that Viscount Longshan's future achievements would far exceed his own. At least when Fabian was his age, he only knew how to exert power and had far less understanding of the essence of power than the current Viscount Longshan. And the higher one's cultivation, the more Fabian realized how important it was to understand the essence of power. My lord, it's not that we don't believe it, it's just too unbelievable. The other few people glanced at each other and said carefully. What a joke. Wasn't every 7th-ranked demigod knight with a powerful and profound bloodline difficult to reach? The mountain dragon bloodline of the Longshan family was indeed extraordinary, but its limit was the 5th rank. Achieving the status of a 7th-ranked demigod seemed as hard as ascending to heaven. It doesn't matter. If you don't believe it, just wait and see in 500 years, Fabian said indifferently, for he wouldn't have dared make such a claim if he wasn't certain that Viscount Longshan would step into the 6th rank within 500 years. For only 6th-rank legendary knights could live more than 500 years. The martial Tao cultivation skill will be immediately popularized within our imperial family, otherwise, if we continue to wait, the surrounding empires will catch up. After pondering for a moment, Fabian spoke. Over the years, there had been ongoing disputes within the imperial family about how to deal with the martial Tao cultivation skill. At this moment, after having personally seen Viscount Longshan, Fabian had reached his conclusion. As for blocking the news and keeping the martial Tao cultivation skills solely within the imperial family, that was not very realistic. By now, too many knights within the empire were aware of the martial Tao cultivation skill, and the same was true for the surrounding empires. The reason there had been no movement so far was entirely because they were still studying the martial Tao cultivation skill. Understood. The knights behind him immediately responded. In the imperial family, Fabian's authority was second only to the rank church, and within the family itself, his word was absolute. Also, cozy up to this Viscount Longshan immediately, elevate his title to Earl, and the surrounding surplus territories, as well as the territories of those few Viscounts, let them all go to the Longshan family, Fabian mused, then continued. Yes, the others glanced at one another and responded at once. They clearly heard the unprecedented attention Fabian had for Viscount Longshan, directly elevating Viscount Longshan to Earl Longshan. Since the founding of the Empire, there had never been such a significant elevation in noble rank, had there? Moreover, Viscount Longshan hadn't yet made any notable contributions. After all, every Earl in the Empire could have their title and the right to their territory passed down forever, even higher than the Empire itself. Let's go. It's time to head back. Fabian took one last look at Longshan City below, then led his people back to the capital of the Empire. What the 6th rank peak legendary knight, Fabian, did not know was that just after he left, Viscount Longshan below cast a discreet glance at the spot where he had just been standing. He knows what's up, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Fabian and his group naturally couldn't get past Lin Yuan's perception. Lin Yuan didn't just perceive them, he heard every single word they said. Lin Yuan had long anticipated that the spread of the martial Tao cultivation skill would attract the attention of the Empire. After all, compared to the many knights' cultivation skills, the martial Tao cultivation skill was too special, fully capable of replacing the vast majority of knights' cultivation skills. Initially, Lin Yuan thought the Empire might take some measures, like controlling him, the source of the martial Tao cultivation skill. But clearly, the higher-ups of the Empire were not short-sighted. Realizing that there was no way to suppress the martial Tao cultivation skill, they immediately took the initiative to join in. They even started to woo and reward Lin Yuan, the person from whom the martial Tao cultivation skill originated. After a series of events, even Lin Yuan did not harbor any ill feelings towards the imperial family of the Empire. My 2 primordial spirits have already begun to infiltrate the church, Lin Yuan glanced into the distance. Although called the Plateau of Myriad Nations, the number of empires present far exceeds 10,000. Lin Yuan had his 2 primordial spirits collect divine crystals from churches of distant empires, naturally. Rabbits don't eat the grass at their burrow's edge. The empire Lin Yuan was in was named the Slan Empire, a place of faith for the main god of rank. When dealing with a being at the level of a prime god, Lin Yuan remained cautious enough not to provoke a prime god lightly. In another empire far, far away from the Slan Empire. This place is the land of faith for the Stargaze true god, and the Stargaze Church is the most exalted place in this empire. Stargaze Church. A large number of believers were worshipping devoutly, wisps of ephemeral faith energy converging on the statue of Stargaze true god, then transferred to the true god's true form in the ocean of light through the statue. In the depths of the church. The Pope watched with a smiling face as divine crystals kept condensing in front of him. It seems my God is very pleased this time, to bestow so many divine crystals, the Pope thought with joy. Divine crystals contained incredibly pure energy, which could not only support divine incarnations but also greatly aid in cultivation. The divine crystals bestowed by the Stargaze true god this time could sustain the cultivation of all the Chich's 5th level and above powerhouses for hundreds of years. If I could consume these divine crystals, perhaps I could step into the 7th rank, then raise the divine kingdom, and enter the ocean of light with my God, to exist eternally. The Pope stared at the divine crystals in front of him, and a hint of greed suddenly rose in his heart. Just then, a figure silently appeared beside the Pope. The figure was indistinct in appearance, shrouded in a mysterious aura. The Pope glanced at it, failed to react immediately, and then his face changed dramatically. You are. Before the Pope could finish his sentence, his consciousness plunged into darkness. When he awoke again, he found the divine crystals that the Church had accumulated for thousands of years were gone. Who on earth? The Pope of the Stargaze Church had bloodshot eyes, so many divine crystals just vanished. Outside the church. Lin Yuan's form reconstituted itself. Not bad. Lin Yuan glanced at the newly acquired quantity of divine crystals and nodded slightly. Though the quantity was not large, there were many such occasions. Along the way, divine crystals amassed by dozens of churches had fallen into his hands. Keep going. Lin Yuan knew he had to be quick. He aimed to gather enough divine crystals to step into the 9th rank before the gods could react. Time passed. 10 years flew by in a blink. In these 10 years, Lin Yuan's 2 primordial spirits traveled through half of the plateau of myriad nations, and countless churches of the true gods fell prey to Lin Yuan's pillage. Of course, Lin Yuan was only interested in divine crystals. As for the congregations, he did not lay a hand on them. He mainly wanted to minimize the situation as much as possible. Killing the followers or only the Chich's upper echelons would be tantamount to declaring war against the gods up front, which would not benefit Lin Yuan's subsequent collection of divine crystals. Longshan Ling. In an underground cave somewhere. Lin Yuan looked at the large pile of divine crystals in front of him. He took a gentle breath, and a great number of divine crystals shattered, merging into Lin Yuan's body. In an instant, the inner world within him began to expand, and the spatial layers became denser and more vast. Having the experience of stepping into the 9th rank in the main world prime universe, Lin Yuan re-entered the 9th rank without any hiccups, even managing to suppress any noise from the breakthrough. Whoosh inhale, an indescribable and transient aura filled the air. No one knew that in the insignificant location of Longshan Ling in the Slan Empire, an existence on par with the 24 supreme gods was born. Chapter 580 Divine Lattice. Please subscribe. The sky was gloomy, the stars hanging high. Lin Yuan walked out of the cave, in a pleasant mood. Returning to the 9th rank not only meant more time to open up derived space layers. It also symbolized Lin Yuan's qualifications and confidence to traverse this world without fear. Compared to other gods, Lin Yuan wasn't burdened by faith. So long as he was among mortals, even a prime god wouldn't dare to make a move against Lin Yuan. How would they dare? With Lin Yuan's blood rebirth and elemental body, 2 major defensive divine skills combined, even if faced with an assault and siege by 24 prime gods, he could last a very, very long time. And he might not even die at all. At most, he would just be sealed. The aftermath caused during that period, to say it would cover more than half of the mortal realms would not be an overstatement. At that time, countless lives would fall and perish. For Lin Yuan, this wasn't considered a loss. The worst he would do is give up spreading his law in this world. That's all. But for the gods, this was all about the foundation of their faith. Before Lin Yuan descended, the prime gods of the ocean of light and the abyss of darkness, even if they started a divine war, would not let the flames of war spread to the mortal realms. They all existed by the faith of mortals and wouldn't do something that destroyed their foundation. But Lin Yuan was different. He didn't care about the life and death of mortals. This was also the drawback of the path of faith. With the power of faith, 7th rank half-demigods could more easily raise a divine kingdom. How much trouble would those 7th rank peak evolvers of the main world have to go through to open up an inner world? But in this realm, one only needed to gather enough mortal faith. But one's success and downfall could also hinge on faith. The flaw of the path of faith was obvious. One could be both uplifted and beholden to the will of mortals. Of course, waging war with the 24 prime gods was an extreme situation, and Lin Yuan wouldn't do it unless absolutely necessary. It could only be said that Lin Yuan, having recovered his 9th rank strength, now had the qualifications to negotiate with the 24 prime gods. Lin Yuan tended to prefer that the 24 prime gods remain unaware of his existence until he reached his limits. These years of madly collecting divine crystals from various churches must have caught the attention of the true gods of the ocean of light, Lin Yuan thought to himself. It couldn't be helped, even the most fanatic demigod wouldn't target a true god church to plunder. Demigods merely wanted to quietly collect faith. As for standing against true gods, They weren't that foolish. But Lin Yuan didn't regret his actions. Without those divine crystals, his recovery to the 9th rank would have been delayed by at least another 50 or 60 years. And the churches that Lin Yuan targeted were backed by true gods who were not so dominant. It was fine as long as he didn't draw the attention of the prime gods. The number of spatial layers has exceeded 200,000 all at once. Lin Yuan's consciousness incarnation descended into his inner world, carefully feeling the fluctuations of the multiple spatial layers. While the spatial layers required Lin Yuan to open them one by one, similar to realms, once a spatial layer was opened, he would fully grasp the mysteries of that layer. Just like a strand of Lin Yuan's spirit will descending into the demon jade space, even without the support of the many spatial layers of the inner world, he could still easily occupy layers upon layers of space. This world has a rich foundation, with at least trillions of spatial layers. After stepping into the 9th rank, Lin Yuan's sensitivity to spatial layers became clearer, and he could even faintly sense the existence of 2 extremely powerful spatial layers. That should be where the ocean of light and the abyss of darkness were located. The ocean of light and the abyss of darkness, where the gods resided, not existing within the main space. Over the long years, many powerful demigods desired to know the exact location of the ocean of light and the abyss of darkness, where all the gods lived. Many demigods traveled across half the mortal realms and still couldn't find it. In fact, the ocean of light and the abyss of darkness were not within the mortal realms at all. However, with Lin Yuan's current sensitivity to spatial layers, as long as he wished, he could enter the spatial layers where the ocean of light and the abyss of darkness were located at any time. Given the current rate at which I'm opening spatial layers, barring any accidents, before the time limit of my stay is up, reaching millions of layers should be a safe bet, Lin Yuan thought. This was almost equivalent to the speed of 10,000 layers per year, overwhelmingly surpassing countless 9th rank evolvers of the main universe. The Tianyu clan's Hunyi opened up over 30 million layers, but how much time did he spend? And how many treasures and resources? Even so, averaging it out, he was far from reaching 10,000 layers per year. At most, it was about a dozen layers per year. As long as I reach the myriad heavy realm of the 9th rank, then Hunyi will be no threat at all. Lin Yuan was very confident, especially since, in this traversal, he had awakened the great physical divine skill, elemental body. The most terrifying aspect of the elemental body lay in its growth potential. In theory, once Lin Yuan stepped into the 12th rank, he could also be immune to 90% of the rule attacks from a supreme being. Xianwang's secret realm, Lin Yuan, through the door to the myriad realms, faintly felt his Taiyang divine spirit in the Xianwang's secret realm. Xilan was still fleeing in desperate straits under Hunya's attack, and Lin Yuan faintly sensed that Xilan's aura had weakened somewhat. This weakening was not about physical strength or soul, but a weakening of the spirit will, such that it affected the other avatars. Hang in there for another 2 years, Xilan. Even if this avatar of yours perishes, I will make sure to bring your treasure back, Lin Yuan silently thought to himself. Although he had deceived Xilan about being a senior, as long as the other party could hold on until Lin Yuan finished his traversal. Chapter 581 Divine Lattice. Please subscribe. _2 Lin Yuan was inherently an elder, fully capable of dealing with Hunyi. Ocean of Light. Within a vast, winding palace. A gathering of true gods convened here. In the Ocean of Light, the 12 prime gods of light reigned supreme, holding sway over certain rules and authorities. The rest of the divine hosts were ranked according to their realms of power and types of faith, divided into lower-rank gods, middle-rank gods, and upper-rank gods. At this moment, the true gods gathered here included 18 lower-rank gods and 1 middle-rank god. This is preposterous, utterly preposterous. They even dare to steal the divine crystals bestowed by us. It seems that the evil gods of the mortal realm have forgotten our divine majesty. The true gods were filled with anger, as over the years, the churches they had established had their accumulations of divine crystals progressively plundered. Although their churches were not on par with the main god church, which had demigod-level combat power on standby for defense, they were not easy to rob. Those capable of such a feat must be at least of the demigod level, and a very powerful one at that. Because the churches that had their divine crystals plundered were not limited to these few gods, but were merely the first to convene. There were many more true gods who were asleep and unaware of such incidents. What should we do now? The ones who stole the divine crystals were extremely cautious and careful, leaving no clues behind. Moreover, what do those evil gods gain by stealing divine crystals? What's the benefit? A true god expressed doubt, questioning why those level 7 demigods weren't gathering faith instead of stealing divine crystals. The essence of divine crystals was a pure energy aggregation formed by true gods using their divine kingdoms over long periods. It was used to support the energy needed for their divine presence to descend to the mortal realm or to maintain the operation of the divine kingdoms. The demigods, already residing in the mortal realm and having no divine kingdoms to support, what was the point in seizing so many divine crystals? Regardless of the motive, brazenly plundering our churches is a provocation. I suggest we investigate immediately with utmost effort. Yes, we need to find out which evil god is responsible. I will extract his soul and burn it in the divine kingdom for 10,000 years. The many true gods spoke in icy tones. Their dignities since ascending to the ocean of light and establishing divine kingdoms had never been so violated. I will have my followers unite with other demigods to clarify this matter. Just then, the only middle-rank god among them spoke up. Under the constraints of the 24 prime gods, these true gods could not personally descend to the mortal realm. As for descension through divine incarnations, maintaining a divine incarnation required a large amount of divine crystals, and conducting such a time-consuming investigation couldn't always rely on divine incarnations. The purpose of a divine incarnation was to settle matters conclusively, such as identifying the key perpetrator behind the multiple church raids, whereupon they would then send a divine incarnation to suppress directly. Thus, deploying demigods to investigate this matter was the best choice. Many demigods in the mortal realm allied themselves with churches, but only those associated with powerful churches. Longshan Ling Underground Cultivation Room. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. Within his mind, the door to the myriad realms faintly glimmered. A grayish-green gourd slowly emerged from the door to the myriad realms, crossing infinite dimensions, descending into this world. Also, a bell-shaped weapon was transmitted through the door to the myriad realms, arriving along with the grayish-green gourd into Lin Yuan's hands. Now that he had restored his power to its peak period, possessing the ability to defend himself in this universe, Lin Yuan naturally summoned the mysterious gourd. By absorbing the liquid within the mysterious gourd, he could continuously enhance both the base size and strength of his inner world and physical body. Furthermore, it could enhance his physical body divine ability blood rebirth. A higher level of blood rebirth allowed Lin Yuan to absorb the liquid in the mysterious gourd not from the beginning but to quickly catch up to the most recent progress. Just as in the main world prime universe, Lin Yuan was already close to completely absorbing the blue liquid within the mysterious gourd. In this world, Lin Yuan could achieve complete absorption of the blue liquid within a short period, from half a month to a few months. By the same logic, it can be concluded that if Lin Yuan in this world had completely absorbed the sixth type of liquid, the blue liquid, from the mysterious gourd, then the original Lin Yuan in the main world would be able to achieve this progress swiftly as well. The two are equivalent to synchronization of realms. Besides the mysterious gourd, that bell-shaped treasure was naturally the Origin Fine Gold. Origin Fine Gold possessed terrifying growth potential, but it required a significant amount of time to nurture. In the main world, Lin Yuan's cultivation speed was simply too fast, with hardly any worlds to nurture, only striving in the shuttle worlds. After all, carrying these two treasures into the shuttle worlds merely consumed 2 strands of world-breaking origin force, and with Lin Yuan's current wealth of over 100 strands, it was completely sustainable. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, another 2 to 3 years had gone by. Finally, Lin Yuan's consciousness descended into his inner world, which at this moment was vast and expansive, approaching a size of nearly 2 billion miles in diameter. To be precise, it was 1.665 billion miles. Compared to the original size of 10 million miles, it had grown 16.65 times. That was the total increase brought about after completely absorbing the green liquid. The mysterious gourd contained 7 types of liquids, with the blue liquid and the purple liquid following the green liquid. Blue liquid. Lin Yuan inverted the mysterious gourd, its spout pointing downward, as a drop of deep blue liquid slowly formed. What exactly forms this liquid? Lin Yuan observed carefully, as at his current level, he could see through numerous spatial layers at a glance. But he was still somewhat puzzled about the nature of the blue liquid. Even when magnified millions of times, the blue liquid remained just that, blue. Unchanged. This was quite incredible, as any object, when magnified millions of times, would show a different microscopic pattern, presenting more detailed components. But the blue liquid seemed to have no microscopic nor macroscopic form. In fact, not just the blue liquid, even the initial red liquid was the same. Whatever, as long as it benefits me, the principle behind it will become clear later. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment before he started to absorb the blue liquid. Boom! As soon as the blue liquid entered his body, a terrifying blue flame ignited, and with the help of the blood rebirth divine skill, Lin Yuan barely held on for a while before his body turned to ashes, only to recondense and come back to life afterward. Unaware. Lin Yuan had already been the family head of the Longshan family for 100 years. During these 100 years, the Longshan family had developed rapidly, especially 20 years ago when the imperial family of the Slan Empire openly granted substantial favors to the Longshan family, elevating their noble rank directly to earl. It is known that outside of wartime, the promotion of a noble rank is extremely difficult. The imperial family is not foolish, for the more earls there are, the less power and territory they themselves hold. The territory of Earl Longshan encompassed the lands of several surrounding viscounts as well as other vacant lands, reaching 5 billion miles in diameter, nearly 10 times that of the original 60 million miles. Furthermore, martial Tao cultivation skill had already spread even further, accompanied by being the first widespread practice in the Slan Empire. Other empires followed suit. At least the strong within these empires repeatedly studied and found no pitfalls in martial Tao cultivation skill. With no pitfalls and a cultivation method that could achieve the effects of almost all night cultivation methods, why not promote it? The later it was promoted, the more knights the already popular empires would produce each day, lagging step by step, which would eventually impact the strength of the nation. Of course. The proliferation of martial Tao cultivation skill made countless strong individuals across the plateau of myriad nations curious about Earl Longshan of Longshanling, from whom the martial Tao cultivation skill had originated. Many demigods turned their gaze towards Longshanling. Outside Longshanling, from a corner's shadow stepped out a gaunt old man. This old man, whose aura was contained, had a hooked nose and gloomy eyes, looking towards the distant Longshanling. As a demigod who had ignited the divine fire, he had lived nearly 100,000 years, experiencing countless events, thus few things could arouse his interest anymore. Earl Longshan, full name Longshan Yuan, the spreader of martial Tao cultivation skill. This cultivation skill I have seen is intricately detailed, far beyond what mere knights of the 4th or 5th level might create. This Earl Longshan has a big secret. The gaunt old man's figure swiftly blurred, turning into an almost invisible shadow, and stealthily entered Longshanling. Chapter 582. 300 years later. Please subscribe. Longshan Family Great Hole. Lin Yuan was listening to Longshanling's report. All the trivial matters of the Longshan family had been delegated to several trusted subordinates for handling, with Longshanling being one of them. Lin Yuan only needed to listen to reports periodically to grasp the overall direction. In this extraordinary world, individual might towered above power structures, and as long as Lin Yuan maintained his absolute strength, he needn't worry that such delegation of power would result in him being ousted. On the contrary, the members of the Longshan family were well aware that the Longshan family's present glory was all thanks to Lin Yuan. Without Lin Yuan, the Longshan family would just be a minor Viscount-level power tucked away in a corner, nowhere near the Earl Longshan who now dominated the southeastern region of the empire. Patriarch, over the years, the number of strong warriors stationed in Longshan City has been increasing, with 4th-level knights, 5th-level great knights, and even 6th-level legendary knights appearing within the city. As Longshan Ling reported, a storm of emotion surged within her. A century ago, not a single 5th-level great knight would emerge in a span of hundreds of years around Longshan Ling and its vast surrounding regions, yet now they were appearing with increasing frequency, including those above the 5th level, 6th-level legendary knights. In the past, such figures would have been considered supremely eminent individuals beyond Longshan Ling's wildest dreams, even influential figures within the Slan Empire. "I understand," said Lin Yuan, nodding calmly. In fact, with the continuous spread of the martial Tao cultivation skill, such phenomena would become even more pronounced. Those powerful beings who were rarely seen would now want to understand the origins of the martial Tao cultivation skill. And if there were any cultivation method superior to the martial Tao cultivation skill. People are greedy, some can suppress their desires, while others cannot. Then Longshan Ling hesitated slightly. "Don't bother about them," Lin Yuan shook his head. With the deterrence of the Slan Empire, no strong warriors below the 7th-level demigod would dare cause trouble. By bestowing upon the Longshan family the title of Earl in a public ceremony, the Slan Empire was effectively supporting the Longshan family. As for 7th-level demigods, if they dared to harbor other intentions, Lin Yuan could crush them with a mere thought. "Yes," Longshan Ling said respectfully. Towards the Earl Longshan who was about her age, Longshan Ling felt an almost dependent level of trust. It seemed as if no matter what, even if the sky were to fall, Lin Yuan would be able to hold it up. Outside Longshan City, several breaths hidden in the shadows were communicating with one another. "What are you old geezers doing here?" "What you're doing here, I'm doing here." "Ha ha ha, in the end, it's all for the secrets behind Earl Longshan." The owners of these breaths were all demigod-level beings. In fact, by the time one reaches the 7th level, demigods have largely lost interest in most worldly affairs. Their only obsession was with achieving godhood and continuing to grow stronger. The emergence of the martial Tao cultivation skill had ignited a certain hope in these demigods. The intricacy of this cultivation method was such that even demigods could not possibly have invented it. Thus, in secret, many demigods speculated whether Earl Longshan had by chance obtained divine favor. The so-called divine favor refers to opportunities of the level of gods. To most beings, gods are immortal, but long-lived demigods know better. Gods can die. For example, by initiating a war of the gods. The stars formed by fallen gods would fall from the heavens. If one is fortunate enough to enter a shattered star, there's a possibility to find the treasures of that deceased god. This was also why so many demigods were congregating here. Opportunities at the level of gods might not allow them to become gods, but they can reveal more secrets. And if by chance they acquire a genuine divine artifact, they would indeed become invincible under true gods. A divine artifact could shield a demigod, acquiring more belief and concerned with whether they could raise their divine kingdom to enter the ocean of light or the abyss of darkness. "If Earl Longshan truly obtained divine favor, we can share it equally," said a figure in a gray robe. He, too, was a renowned demigod. "Naturally. We are all fellow practitioners, there is no need for violent conflict." "Indeed, we agreed to share Earl Longshan's godly secret equally when the time comes," the other demigod said, "but they harbored other plans in their hearts. If it's merely secrets, they could be shared equally, but what if it's a divine artifact? With only one divine artifact, how could it be divided?" However, the demigods present were all old foxes. Even if a real fight were to break out, it would only happen upon seeing tangible benefits. Currently, even though it might just be courtesy, none would turn against each other. Let's sneak in quietly and after we capture Earl Longshan, directly perform a soul search, said a gaunt old man lurking in the shadows. Agreed. No problem. The demigods nodded. In their eyes, Earl Longshan was already a dead man. Apart from those true gods high above in the ocean of light and the abyss of darkness, who on earth could withstand the combined assassination of several demigods? You must know, being able to appear outside Longshan City so quickly, these were no ordinary demigods but rather powerhouses among demigods. That Longshan Yuan, targeted simultaneously by these formidable demigods, was undoubtedly doomed to die. Let's go. Move in. The 8 demigods immediately began infiltrating Longshan City with great caution. Although they were strong, they were not foolish. They knew that many demigods were watching Earl Longshan, holding back only because of mutual wariness. If these demigods were to take action, they would aim to cause as little commotion as possible, lest they attract the attention of other demigods. Soon. Chapter 583 300 years later, please subscribe. _ 28 demigods entered Longshan City and infiltrated the Longshan Great Hall. Is that Earl Longshan? Just a little fellow over 100 years old. One by one, the demigods hid in the shadows, carefully observing Lin Yuan without making the first move. Since they had speculated that Lin Yuan might have obtained a divine chance, they had to consider whether he had any trump cards. Divine chances do not only contain true divine artifacts but also many other means that could seriously injure demigods even after many long years. Therefore, the demigods were all extremely cautious. The closer they were to success, the more they needed to keep their composure. This was common knowledge to all demigods. There shouldn't be any problems. I haven't felt any danger. True, I haven't sensed any aura of an 8th layer true god either. A few demigods looked at each other, disappointment flickering across their faces. This meant that the divine chance Lin Yuan had obtained might be very ordinary, not even bringing out a treasure that carried the aura of a true god. But anyway, even a mosquito's worth of meat is still meat. They had come this far and couldn't possibly return empty-handed. Wait a moment. Suddenly, a gaunt old man hiding in the shadows slightly changed his expression, looking solemnly at the other 7 demigods. What kind of strength does Earl Longshan possess? The gaunt old man immediately asked through transmitted thought. What kind of strength? Seems to be 4th level. No, it's 5th level. The 7 demigods immediately responded through thought transmission. After all, Lin Yuan was right in front of them, they weren't in a hurry, and the duck in their mouths wouldn't fly away. Whether it's 4th level or 5th level, can you all sense Earl Longshan's strength now? The gaunt old man asked with a hint of incredulity in his tone. As he said this, the faces of the 7 demigods changed at once. For 7th-ranked demigods, whether it was 4th or 5th level didn't make much difference, and it was practically indistinguishable from 1st and 2nd levels or even ordinary people. But not making a difference doesn't mean they were the same. In the eyes of the 8 of them at that moment, Earl Longshan's aura was hidden, no different from an ordinary person. For 3rd or 4th level knights, they might feel Earl Longshan to be unfathomable, but all 8 here were demigods. How could they not sense Earl Longshan's specific aura? Something's fishy. The gaunt old man's brow twitched imperceptibly. Although as demigods their premonition and awareness gave no warnings, he just felt that something was off. Me too. Shall we withdraw first and then discuss? The other demigods also began to think of retreating. Earl Longshan gave them a very odd feeling. An odd feeling that made their hearts tremble. Just as the 8 demigods exchanged glances, planning to leave and make long-term plans, a gentle voice suddenly rang in their ears. Guests have arrived, please stay. Under the astonished gaze of the 8 demigods, Lin Yuan looked up at them. Be careful. All 8 demigods were on high alert, ready to respond with full force. The words of Earl Longshan meant that he had discovered them long ago. But how was that possible? They had been careful enough, and even other demigods might not have been able to detect them. Could it be that Earl Longshan was also a demigod? Before the 8 demigods could figure it out, a terrifying force from the depths of the void crushed them to smithereens. In the Longshan Great Hall, under Lin Yuan's gaze, the 8 demigods disintegrated without resistance. Thinking of killing me for my opportunity? Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. Since he dared to reveal his martial Tao cultivation skill, he had already taken these possibilities into account. How could he possibly stay in the Longshan Great Hall without sufficient strength? Is this the first time I've directly killed a demigod? Lin Yuan thought to himself that although he had killed the mother goddess of lust decades ago, it was a cursed killing from countless miles away without ever having seen her face. This must be the demigod lattice. Lin Yuan looked at where the 8 demigods previously stood. After their physical bodies and souls had completely turned into dust, 8 round crystals fell to the ground. It must be the demigod lattice. In this world, when knights reach the 7th rank, they ignite the divine fire and condense the demigod lattice. Once they elevate their divine kingdom, the demigod lattice within them will transform into the divine lattice. Whether it's a demigod lattice or divine lattice, both are the absolute core of demigods or true gods, the embodiment of their everything. Whoosh! 8 crystals floated in front of Lin Yuan, spinning leisurely. The crystals were of different colors, emitting different auras, such as the emaciated old man who always hid in the shadows. His demigod lattice was the color of shadows with a faint space fluctuation flowing through it. There was also the figure in the gray robe, whose divine lattice appeared gray, undulating with a poisonous aura. Lin Yuan looked over them casually, grasping the shadowy demigod lattice that was emitting the space fluctuations and briefly probed it with his mind. Lin Yuan's expression changed slightly. After probing into the demigod lattice with his mind, Lin Yuan vaguely obtained the perspective of the demigod lattice. Suddenly, Lin Yuan felt the world had become different. The world, once filled with various rule fluctuations, now had only space and shadows remaining. Although only these 2 remained, in Lin Yuan's perception, they became extremely clear. Originally, even in the main world Prime Universe, with the help of the rich space fluctuations on the battlefields of different races, Lin Yuan's perception of the space rules was still vague, but now, it was extremely clear. The many spaces and shadows in this world seemed mystical, especially the vast, slow unfolding of billions of spatial layers before Lin Yuan. Your against heaven's understanding allows you to observe the essence of the world's rules. Your perception of space and shadows continues to rise. Your against heaven's understanding allows you to observe the essence of the world's rules. Your perception of space and shadows continues to rise. Your against heaven's understanding allows you to observe the essence of the world's rules. Your perception of space and shadows continues to rise. Rumbling. Inner world. The vast expanse was nearly 200 million li in radius, and the number of spatial layers was nearing 300,000. Not only that, the number of spatial layers in the inner world was still increasing at a rate of 30 to 50 layers every day. However, when Lin Yuan used the demigod lattice's perspective to look at this world and its layers upon layers of space, the development of spatial layers in the inner world seemed to take a fixed direction and started skyrocketing. 30 to 50 layers a day. 300 to 500 layers a day. 3,000 to 5,000 layers a day. Rumbling. Layer after layer of spatial layers developed, making the land of the inner world become substantial and the sky profound. What? Lin Yuan suddenly opened his eyes, pulling away from the perspective he had just experienced. The demigods of this world, their demigod lattices are condensed from world rules, which allows them to comprehend the most fundamental rules of heaven and earth. Lin Yuan was somewhat shocked. Simply put, the rule-based attack methods controlled by the demigods of this world rely entirely on the demigod lattices within their bodies. With the power of the demigod lattice, they unleash the mysteries of rule-based attacks. This shadowy space demigod lattice could probably allow me to open up 1,000,000 layers of space. Lin Yuan's thoughts converged. It wasn't that the demigod lattice itself contained the mystery of 1,000,000 spatial layers, but rather, the spatial origin mystery that this demigod lattice could glimpse into was that vast. Seeing and owning are two different concepts. Lin Yuan was at the 9th rank, and with his against heaven's understanding, he was able to exert such an effect with an ordinary demigod lattice. Against heaven, Lin Yuan silently marveled, it's truly against heaven. If a demigod lattice can have such an effect, what about a divine lattice? Lin Yuan's eyes heated up slightly. This demigod lattice spanned both shadows and space, but only space was of great use to Lin Yuan. Among the other 7 demigod lattices, there were 2 more concerning space. 3 demigod lattices together, excluding the overlapping essence of space, could open up an additional 2,000,000 spatial layers for Lin Yuan. One must know that since Lin Yuan stepped into the 9th rank, the total number of spatial layers was less than 300,000, and this was on the premise of comprehending dozens of cosmic forces, more than a dozen higher cosmic forces, and 1 source-level cosmic force. And now he could directly increase by 2,000,000 spatial layers? Demigods. Demigods who have comprehended the space attribute? Lin Yuan took a deep breath. Every demigod lattice with the space attribute could glimpse into a part of the essence of space, which was greatly useful for Lin Yuan to develop spatial layers. From now on, both primordial spirits will focus on searching for those demigods, Lin Yuan decided internally. He didn't harbor a killing intent for those demigods with spatial lattices. As long as the other party cooperated and actively allowed him to sense their internal demigod lattices. Once Lin Yuan finished comprehending, he would only seal them up and release them after the 1,000-year living limit had passed. 1,000 years was not significant for the longevity of demigods. And so, time slowly passed by. In the blink of an eye, 300 years had passed. Chapter 584 90,000,000 spatial layers, subscription request, 300 years had passed, transforming Longshan Ling remarkably. The territory of the Longshan family expanded repeatedly, even occupying 1/5 of the Slan Empire. If it weren't for that legendary patriarch of the Longshan family who hadn't explicitly agreed to allow the ranked church to establish itself there, the Longshan family would likely have become the Longshan Empire by now. In the plateau of myriad nations, the establishment of any empire requires the approval of the main god church. This is a cast iron rule set by the gods of the Ocean of Light. However, even without establishing an empire, the influence of the Longshan family today is hardly weaker than that of an empire. That legendary patriarch of the Longshan family was declared a demigod over 100 years ago. For this, the Longshan family was endowed with endless glory. A demigod, as long as they do not stand against the church and covertly gather followers, can live exceptionally comfortably. The Pope of the ranked church had worried when he first learned that the Longshan patriarch had stepped into the 7th level of demigod. He feared that the other party would utilize the Longshan domain to gather followers. But after observing for a while and even employing the Chich's unique ability to sense the gathering of faith, and confirming that there was no fluctuation of faith gathering around Longshan Ling, he completely put his mind at ease about the Longshan patriarch. After all, a demigod who doesn't cause trouble and isn't interested in followers can save the church a lot of worry. With the tacit consent of the ranked church, the development of the Longshan family thereafter was exceptionally smooth. On this day, many members of the Longshan family gathered toward the clan training grounds. Today should be the day the patriarch talks about the martial Tao cultivation skill. I finally get to see the patriarch. Such a day only comes once every 10 years. Our current patriarch of the Longshan family is a spectacular talent, stepping into the 7th level of demigod before the age of 500, surely that must break the records of the neighboring empires, right? The faces of the Longshan family members beamed with pride, their tones filled with fervor. This was not something strange, for before Longshan Yuan assumed the position of patriarch, the Longshan family was just a small force tucked away in the southeast corner of the empire. I heard that the Pope of the Rank Church has invited the Patriarch to join the church several times, promising to request a subordinate deity spot from the main god, a subordinate deity, that is a deity subordinate to the prime god, a much higher status than those gods who reside alone in the divine kingdom. It's a pity that the Longshan Patriarch did not immediately agree, saying he needed to think it over. Worthy of our Patriarch, if a prime god invited me to become a subordinate deity, not even needing to be a prime god, any god inviting would make me wake up laughing from my dreams. Many members of the Longshan family gathered at the edge of the training ground, and as it was still early and the Patriarch had not yet appeared, they quietly discussed among themselves. The focus of the discussion was naturally still the Longshan Patriarch. Being a demigod and receiving an invitation from the main god church was undoubtedly an incredibly remarkable matter. The plateau of myriad nations is vast and broad, the number of demigod-level powers is considerable, yet it's rare to hear of a demigod-level power being so valued by a deity. Now not only was the Longshan Patriarch deemed significant by a deity, but this deity was also one of the 12 prime gods of light, such an honor undeniably evoking envy from many demigods. Though becoming a subordinate deity would mean losing freedom, it would be as a deity subordinate to one of the 12 prime gods of the Ocean of Light. Since ancient times, the number of true gods might fluctuate, but the number of prime gods has always been fixed at 24, neither more nor less. Just as countless members of the Longshan family continued their discussions. In the center of the training ground, on a high platform, a figure appeared at some unknown time. The Patriarch has arrived. The Patriarch is here. One by one, the members of the Longshan family ceased their conversations, their gazes intensely fixed on the figure on the high platform. In the Longshan family, the Slan Empire, and even the Rank Church, all needed to step back, only the Patriarch was the sole heaven. In the center of the platform, Lin Yuan, with his hands clasped behind his back, glanced at the masses of Longshan family members on the edge of the training ground. It's been 300 years already. Lin Yuan felt somewhat emotional in his heart, for during these 300 years, aside from his own cultivation, he also guided his clan's people in the practice of the martial Tao cultivation skill. After all, related to the transmission of the art, Lin Yuan was still willing to devote himself to this aspect. And under Lin Yuan's occasional guidance, the number of practitioners of the martial Tao cultivation skill rapidly increased, with over 10,000 of the Longshan family members cultivating to the 4th level. Over 2,000 reached the 4th level, and more than 50 reached the 5th level. There was even one who reached the 6th level, equivalent to a legendary knight among martial Tao cultivators. This was only within the Longshan family, as there were even more cultivators outside practicing the martial Tao cultivation skill, though they lacked Lin Yuan's personal guidance. But with such a base, the number of strong cultivators at various levels of the martial Tao cultivation skill was greater than that within the Longshan family. In just 300 years, such achievements have been realized mainly due to the localization of the martial Tao cultivation skill, which primarily focused on tapping into the power buried deep within one's bloodline. This approach indeed meant sacrificing potential for future growth, but, in terms of training speed in the early stages, it was indeed formidable. The spread of the martial Tao cultivation skill was just one of the many minor accomplishments of Lin Yuan over these 300 years. One of Lin Yuan's greatest achievements in the past 300 years was in the development of the spatial layers, reaching an astounding 90 million layers. 90 million layers of spatial layers, a number Lin Yuan would not even dare to dream of before beginning his current journey. Chapter 585 90 million spatial layers, seeking subscriptions, _2 Even with against heaven's understanding, dozens of cosmic forces, more than a dozen higher cosmic forces, and one source-level cosmic force aiding him, Lin Yuan dared to set his sights only on the countless spatial layers, and that too was a result of spending 1,000 years of residence time. Even so, such a pace of expansion had reached 10,000 spatial layers a day, which in the eyes of other 9th-rank powerhouses was utterly unattainable. But now, with the advent of divine lattice, especially those with spatial attributes, it was as if he had been handed the key that unlocked the essence of the space rules of this world. Lin Yuan's speed at expanding the derived space layers soared exponentially, completely defying all logic. To simply put it, those ninth-stage powerhouses in the main world prime universe had to comprehend and expand their spatial layers bit by bit, one at a time, while Lin Yuan's method of expansion was different. He could simply use the layers of this world as a template for his own. The moment he finished expanding a spatial layer, he would instantly grasp the spatial origin source insights related to that layer. For example, the ninth-stage powerhouses in the main universe had to create spatial layers from scratch, like deriving a complex formula without any direction or target known in advance. Whereas for Lin Yuan, it was as if he had already received this formula beforehand and merely needed to derive the process from it, which drastically reduced the difficulty by several magnitudes. 90 million spatial layers. Lin Yuan gently closed his eyes, feeling the boundless power transmitted from his inner world throughout his body. In the starry sky where the myriad clans of the main world classified the ninth rank into 5 tiers, reaching 10 million layers was already the extreme limit of the ninth stage peak. As for 90 million layers, Qunyi had opened up 30 million spatial layers and thus was already the strongest ninth rank being of the Tianyu clan. 90 million layers, one could estimate that throughout all the races of the main universe and even including those unique, special beings, there were probably only a handful that could come close. Here close does not mean reach or exceed. Especially those unique special beings, which are so rare in the vast cosmos, their innate talents are terrifying beyond belief. These special beings with such unfathomable depth could open up spatial layers with almost the same ease as eating or drinking drink, scarcely any less simple. Even so, to expand to 90 million spatial layers, not to mention expanding, even just counting layer by layer, it would take a very long time, wouldn't it? The most critical point is, according to the current trend, 90 million layers is far from Lin Yuan's limit, with still more than half of his designated residence time remaining. Lin Yuan still had a great deal of room to grow. It's a pity, the current demigod lattice is not of much use to me anymore. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. Over the past 300 years, he had used his 2 primordial spirits to search the world for demigod lattices with spatial attributes, that is, demigods with the ability to manipulate space. If one were to divide the spatial origin source of this world from bottom to top into 10,000 parts, the key to the spatial essence held within a demigod's demigod lattice would only occupy the lower third of that range. As for the upper 2/3, the demigod lattice's tier was too low, it could not see that far. As Lin Yuan gradually mastered the bottom third of the spatial origin source, other demigod lattices with spatial attributes began to overlap with the spatial essence he had already grasped. The divine lattice of a true god should be able to help me further advance. Lin Yuan looked up at the sky, which in reality meant observing the spatial layers where the ocean of light and the dark abyss resided. No rush. Take it slow. Lin Yuan's thoughts reconverged. Even though the current demigod lattice didn't have as great an effect on him as before, it still had some use. He still intended to thoroughly comprehend the demigod lattice and the 1/3 area of spatial essence it could glimpse into before dealing with divine matters. My inner world has now reached a scale of 108.3 billion miles in circumference. Lin Yuan's consciousness descent into his inner world revealed that he had absorbed much of the 6th type of liquid from the mysterious gourd, the blue liquid, over the past 300 years. In theory, once he completely absorbed the first 6 types of colored liquids, Lin Yuan's inner world would reach a circumference of 1.998 billion miles. Approaching 2 billion miles from my inner world, plus 90 million spatial layers, my current power should be at the level of 9th rank invincible, shouldn't it? Lin Yuan thought to himself. Unlike the 8th layer, the 9th rank did not entertain the concept of invincibility. Because the confrontation between 9th rank powerhouses was not about the level of power and might, it wasn't a matter of brute strength ensuring victory. Unless it is a strike from a supreme being that tears through countless spatial layers, a strike of such caliber that no matter where you hide or flee to within those layers, you are doomed to die. The combat among ninth-rank fighters requires competing across multiple spatial layers. For instance, under specific conditions, ninth-rank fighters like Shilan, who cannot open up less than 1 million spatial layers, can easily elude top ninth-rank fighters like Hunyi who can open over 30 million spatial layers. But that was before. Now, with the scale and solid foundation of Lin Yuan's inner world, he could effortlessly suppress other ninth-rank fighters with a mere gesture, including Hunyi who could open over 30 million spatial layers. If this isn't invincibility, what is? Now I just need to conclude my traversal. The predicament of the Xianhuang secret realm is truly nothing, Lin Yuan silently thought to himself. However, doing so would be somewhat of a waste of this opportunity to traverse. Even though he had the world coordinates in hand and could continue the consciousness descent, it would require the expenditure of 10 strands of world-breaking origin force. Time, Lin Yuan, through the will of his inner world, raised his right hand, and time began to fluctuate smoothly and steadily, either accelerating or pausing. Time pause. A touch of surprise flashed across Lin Yuan's eyes. As in the past 300 years, he had deduced over 200 time rule models, gaining some understanding of the ability to pause time. It can't be maintained for a long duration. Lin Yuan tried it out and found that the longer he sustained the time pause state, the greater the backlash from the time rules would become. It's like when you forcefully dam up a breach. You may stop the river's flow temporarily, but as the upstream water accumulates more and more, the eventual breach will result in an even more severe disaster. The pause in time was similar. Forcing time to pause in a particular region would continuously suffer backlash brought about by corrections from time rules. With Lin Yuan's current foundation, he could at most pause time in a certain region for 20 breaths. Any longer, and he would suffer irreversible damage. And the region where time was paused couldn't contain any exceedingly powerful life forms. Pausing time for a stone versus pausing time for a ninth-rank life form, naturally, they are not the same in terms of difficulty. In the midst of his thoughts, Lin Yuan looked around at the numerous clansmen of the Longshan family, and began to impart the martial Tao cultivation skill. Several hours passed. Lin Yuan's lecture reached its conclusion. Under the rapt gaze of countless Longshan family members, Lin Yuan disappeared from the center of the arena. The underground cultivation room. Lin Yuan's figure reappeared. These 300 years, I have secretly abducted a large number of demigods, including many from the true God Church. It must have had a significant impact, Lin Yuan silently pondered. To better comprehend the spatial essence of this world and thereby open up layer upon layer of space, Lin Yuan, apart from the demigods of the main God Church whom he did not target, had visited most of those from the true God Church. This was far more serious than the pillaging of the divine crystals from the true God Church 300 years ago. In the absence of interference from the true gods, the demigod tier powerhouses are the strongest combat forces of the churches. As for the descent of godly power incarnations, they are the last resort. Most matters, as well as conflicts with other churches, still rely on the demigod tier powerhouses. It's not a problem. Lin Yuan only pondered for a moment, not too concerned. If 300 years ago, Lin Yuan held some apprehension toward the gods of the ocean of light and the dark abyss, after all, the 24 prime gods were beings of his same rank. Now, having opened 90 million spatial layers and with his inner world approaching an expanse of nearly 200 million square miles, Lin Yuan has truly become in this world unfearing of all. Chapter 586 Do I Have to Hide? Please subscribe. Continue to open up more spatial layers. Lin Yuan's thoughts converged. Actually, Lin Yuan could have attempted to break through to the 10th rank as early as when he created millions of spatial layers. According to the experiences of countless 9th rank beings in the main world, breaking through to the 10th rank, millions of spatial layers were enough to meet the threshold for the breakthrough. But Lin Yuan did not wish to forsake the greatest opportunity presented by this traversal. After breaking through to the 10th rank, the inner world would continue to transform and begin to solidify to a certain degree. At that time, creating spatial layers as one could at the 9th rank would not be so easy. Instead of that, it was better to open up as many spatial layers as possible while still at the 9th rank. Why did Hunyi, the strongest 9th rank being of the Tianyu clan, open over 30 million spatial layers but still refuse to break through to the 10th rank? Was he foolish? Certainly not. Spatial layers represent the depth and thickness of a world, a more hidden foundation aside from its evident size. The more spatial layers one opens at the 9th rank, the greater the help for stepping into the 10th rank, and even the 11th rank, when the inner world transforms into an inner universe. This is also why Lin Yuan is currently opening spatial layers so fervently, although it can't be said that missing this opportunity would leave him without another chance. But the opportunity must be seized. Besides, another reason Lin Yuan has not attempted the 10th rank breakthrough is the Xian Huang's secret realm. The Xian Huang's secret realm prohibits those at the 10th rank and above from entering, a rule established since the opening of the Xian Huang's secret realm. Even supreme beings cannot forcefully enter, and Lin Yuan worries that if during his traversal, the nature of his spirit will transforms, it would be detected by the Xian Huang's secret realm as anomalous, and then he would be ejected from it. Of course, this possibility is not very large. When Lin Yuan's will arrives, even if he truly breaks through to the 10th rank, it doesn't have much to do with his main body. For Lin Yuan, the descent of will also has a trial and error purpose. But to be cautious, considering many aspects, Lin Yuan still prioritizes opening more spatial layers. After all, with his current accumulation, whenever he wants to break through to the 10th rank, he can do it. There's absolutely no need to hurry the process. Those 9th rank peak powerhouses who had just opened millions of spatial layers were anxious to try breaking through to the 10th rank because their lifespan was nearing its end. They had no other choice, that's why they did it. Lin Yuan still has plenty of lifespan left, so there's no need to rush. Xian Huang's secret realm, Lin Yuan once again perceived the situation through the door to the myriad realms, sensing the circumstances on the side of the Taiyang divine spirit. Xylan's breath has already weakened by nearly a quarter. Lin Yuan was aware of this numerically, knowing Xilan could still hold on for a while. As for the damage to his main Bodhis avatar caused by burning his spirit will, that's not irreparable. After all, once Lin Yuan finishes his traversal and returns to the Xian Huang's secret realm, he can give Xilan some opportunities. Lin Yuan can foresee that, after his traversal ends, with his strength, he should be able to sweep away all the 9th rank beings in the Xian Huang's secret realm. At that time, all the resources in the secret realm would be there for his taking. Actually, even if Lin Yuan doesn't experience the entire traversal, he would still be able to sweep through the entire Xian Huang's secret realm if he returned now. Ocean of Light. Hundreds of true gods were seated in a spacious hall. Lin Yuan's 2 primordial spirits abducting a large number of demigods had completely angered the gods of the Ocean of Light, on top of the massive looting of divine crystals 300 years ago. Old grudges and fresh grievances made the gods' teeth itch for revenge. My most devout follower, a 7th-ranked demigod named Mosi, has vanished without a trace for over 200 years. I can feel that he is still alive, but I have no idea where he is. A true god with a single horn scanned the many gods around and said, "My 2 demigod followers are the same. Who could this be, capable of eluding our perception?" Another true god, with white wings, spoke. "My followers are the same. To elude our perception, could they have fallen into another divine kingdom? Is it those divine beings from the dark abyss doing this? No, that's not right. The dark abyss has its own prime gods who would not do such a thing," one said. Hundreds of true gods conversed, and eventually concluded that their followers could indeed be in other divine kingdoms, as this was the only explanation for the gods' inability to perceive their followers. However, this divine kingdom may not be from living deities, as the remnants of fallen gods' divine kingdoms from the distant past had similar abilities. So you're saying someone abducted our demigod followers and hid them in a fallen divine kingdom? What does the other party want? Why not just kill them? Why do this? The gods were puzzled, and while the conclusion seemed incredible, it was the only explanation that made sense of their situation. Could it be that a group of powerful demigods in the mortal realm luckily obtains a divine opportunity and acquires a fallen divine kingdom? Then they begin targeting our Chich's demigods, abducting them one by one, and for some purpose, keep them in that fallen divine kingdom. Soon, some true gods started theorizing about the cause and sequence of events. Despite there being many inexplicable aspects, they managed to clarify the reasons behind the events. Now what do we do? Where exactly are our demigod followers and who is the mastermind behind all of this? Any clues? A true god voiced their doubts. Rest assured. Just then, a true god sitting in the highest seat spoke up. He was an upper-rank god, one of the most powerful and high-ranking beings beneath the prime god. He surveyed the hall of gods and slowly said, I have already given the aura of your followers to the god of divination over 100 years ago, for him to deduce the last known location of their presence. Chapter 587 Do I Have to Dodge? Please subscribe, _2 As these words were spoken, the hearts of the gods present were certain. The god of divination, one of the 12 prime gods of the ocean of light. The powers the god of divination commanded were very special, that is, premonition and divination. The god of divination could merge with heaven and earth, observing the changes and evolution of all things in the world from a unique perspective. In simple terms, as long as the god of divination was willing to pay the price, he could know anything in the world. However, to ask the god of divination to take action also required a huge price. If it wasn't for the fact that their demigod-level followers had suffered such severe losses, this upper-rank god would not have sought out the god of divination. The god of divination told me that the results would be given out during this period, said the upper-rank god seated at the head. Good, then we shall wait. As for the price of asking the god of divination to take action, we will also bear some of it, the gods said to each other after exchanging glances. The upper-rank god seated at the head looked slightly better upon hearing this. Time slowly passed. Before long, several months had gone by. The expression of the upper-rank god at the head suddenly changed. Seeing this, the other true gods turned their gaze towards him. A moment later, the complexion of that upper-rank god gradually returned to normal. He then looked at the gods and slowly said, The god of divination has given the results. As expected of the god of divination, that is the source of the aura we could not find no matter what. Where exactly was the last place our demigod-level followers disappeared? The gods looked at the upper-rank god with anticipation. The god of divination said, The last place where all the followers' auras disappeared was in the Longshanling area of the Slan Empire on the plateau of myriad nations, the upper-rank god stated directly. The Slan Empire, that's the territory of the main god of rank. Longshanling. I remember now, the lord of Longshanling is talented and gifted. The outside world has theorized that he might have received a divine favor. Divine favor? I understand now, the prime culprit behind the abduction of our demigod-level followers is none other than the Lord of Longshanling, which fits with our earlier speculation that all the followers were hidden in some ruined divine kingdom. The Lord of Longshanling, the Longshan family patriarch, a demigod under 500 years old, truly deserves death for daring to secretly act against us. If not for the god of divination, we would still be in the dark to this moment. The Longshan family patriarch truly deserves death. The gods' tone was indignant, but they did not act rashly. After all, Longshanling was situated within the territory of the Rank Church, which was the church of the main god of rank. Without clarity on whether the main god of rank was related to this matter and whether he was aware, as angry as the true gods were, they had to remain sensible. Let's go, we ourselves shall descend with divine power incarnations and head to Longshanling to see if the great main god of rank will deal with this matter. Indeed, the great main god of rank advocates for order, and the actions of that Longshan family patriarch are akin to creating chaos. I don't believe the main god of rank is aware of this. The gods exchanged glances and immediately came to a decision. The 12 prime gods of the Ocean of Light were lofty, and the main god of rank was no exception. With the stature of the main god of rank, how could he possibly care about those demigods of the mortal realm? This matter was likely the doing of the Longshan family patriarch and had little to do with the main god of rank. However, regardless, the people of the Longshan family were within the territory of the rank church. Even if they were in the right, they still had to give notice. I have had contact with the Pope of the rank church of the Slan Empire. Let me inquire first if he knows of this matter. A true god spoke, immediately separating a wisp of divine power to make contact. The Pope of any true god church has an extremely special connection with the true god themselves, perhaps even as a direct descendant. For a main god church like the rank church, its Pope is directly an attached spirit of the main god of rank's will carrier. Only in this way can they better control the entire church. Attached spirits, though not free, are still divine beings. Residing in the Ocean of Light, it was perfectly normal for the gods present to have had contact with the other party. We leave now, to Longshan Ling to demand an explanation. Countless true gods within the Great Hall sent down divine power avatars within their respective churches, grandiosely moving towards Longshan Ling in the Slan Empire. The Slan Empire. The rank church. The Pope suddenly opened his eyes. The Longshan Patriarch is the main culprit behind the abduction of numerous demigod-level powerhouses from the church in the past few centuries. There are now a great number of avatars of divine power descended from true gods, rushing this way. The rank Pope's brow was furrowed, his true form belonging to the spirits of the Ocean of Light, carrying out the commands of the main god of rank to manage the mortal churches. The mission given to him by the main god of rank was not only to manage the churches but also to search for demigods with enough potential to be guided to the Ocean of Light and become subordinate spirits to the prime god. Over the years, the one he had taken such a fancy to most was the chief of the Longshan family. The other party was young, with tremendous potential, and moreover, his lack of interest in the faith made the rank Pope very inclined to win him over. And in these years, the rank Pope had also been making efforts in this direction. Nonsense. For so many true gods to descend avatars of their divine power without regard for face, isn't that a farce? The rank Pope immediately rose and hastened towards Longshan Ling. He also felt somewhat uneasy in his heart. If those true gods dared to make such a big move, they must have decisive evidence. Should this matter blow up, it would definitely not bode well for Longshan Yuan. The main god of rank valued order, and order included both rewards and punishments. If Ling Yuan truly was the main culprit in the disappearance of many church demigods over the past few centuries, and the main god of rank became aware, he would surely act according to the rules without any partiality. Cold and impartial, these words described the main god of rank. We absolutely cannot let Longshan Yuan meet with that group of spirits. The rank Pope decided to protect Lin Yuan. As long as the two sides had not met and confronted each other face to face, there was room for the situation to de-escalate, and then it would be easy to speak on behalf of the prime god. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, the rank Pope arrived at Longshan Ling. I want to see the Longshan Patriarch. The rank Pope directly approached the entrance of the Longshan Great Hall. See the Patriarch. Longshan Ling and a few others immediately stepped forward to greet him. They recognized the rank Pope and knew his status and position, not daring to show the slightest neglect. Correct. The Longshan Patriarch may be implicated in the disappearance of demigods over these past few centuries, and now a great number of avatars of true gods' divine power are coming to accuse him. The rank Pope briefly explained. What? Your Holiness, there must be some misunderstanding here. Longshan Ling and the others were trembling, avatars of divine power descended by hundreds of true gods. Those were the avatars of the true gods' divine power that could level Longshan Ling with just a mere leak of their presence. Long Shanling and the others also quickly realized that the reason why those true gods were willing to come and accuse in person was probably to give face to the ranked church. Otherwise, with the overbearing nature of the true gods, they would simply have acted directly to obliterate Long Shanling, no questions asked. What's most important now is, before that group of true gods arrives, we take the Longshan Patriarch to our church to hide for a bit. The rank pope quickly said. The true gods dared to come to Long Shanling to accuse, but they would absolutely not dare accuse in front of the rank church. That would be the dignity of the main god of rank. Yes. Seek the Chichi's shelter. Long Shanling and the others also felt like they had found their backbone in an instant. They immediately led the rank pope and others into the Longshan Great Hall and came to the entrance of the cultivation room. Patriarch, a major event has occurred. Long Shanling immediately activated a method of contact, trying to reach Lin Yuan, who was in seclusion. Inside the cultivation room, Lin Yuan opened his eyes silently. Rustle. The door opened. Lin Yuan emerged, his expression serene. Patriarch, Long Shanling quickly explained the situation. Patriarch, you need to rush to the church right now to take cover. Long Shanling said anxiously. Even though she revered her patriarch immensely, she did not believe Lin Yuan could survive in the face of avatars of divine power descended by hundreds of true gods. In the face of a life and death crisis for Longshan family's supporting pillar, how could Long Shanling not be anxious? How could she not be flustered? Longshan Patriarch, as long as you hide in the church, I guarantee those spirits will not dare to come forcefully. The rank pope also hastily said. Hide. Lin Yuan's gaze was calm and distant as he stepped out of the Longshan Great Hall, looking towards the end of the sky's expanse. In the distance, a terrifying and majestic presence began to approach rapidly, as if a majestic heavenly might was descending. Hi! Lin Yuan raised his right hand, his sleeves billowing, and with a gentle sweep forward, when he drew his hand back, hundreds of Tao incarnations had mysteriously appeared in his palm. Use hiding. Chapter 588 The God Among Men, subscribe requested. The heavens and earth were vast and boundless. Hundreds of powerful auras roared toward Long Shanling. As incarnations of divine power descended from the ocean of light, each figure on the field symbolized a true god. Even though they were merely incarnations, their strength far surpassed the peak of a demigod, approaching that of an eighth-layer true god. Especially the foremost dozen figures, who were incarnations of divine power from upper-rank gods, their aura fluctuations had reached the threshold of a true god. Even among eighth-layer true gods, the disparity in strength was vast, depending on the rules and authority held by their divine lattice and the purity of their divine power. Of course, the most crucial aspect was how much belief they had gathered. Belief is the foundation of every true god, leveraging the power of all beings, allowing seventh-layer demigods to gather and elevate a divine kingdom. In the distant past, there were frequent divine wars between the true gods of the ocean of light and the dark abyss, fundamentally fighting over the acquisition of belief. Wait a minute. After flying for a while, the hundreds of divine power incarnations subtly sensed something amiss. Especially those of the upper-rank gods, who furrowed their brows and continuously surveyed their surroundings. As true gods, their realm evident, even as divine power incarnations, they possessed keen spatial awareness. Some true gods had already sensed something. The space has changed, the space of the mortal world is not like this. Right, I also find it strange. Could it be that we haven't arrived in the mortal world? Impossible, the anchor points for our divine power incarnations are the major churches of the mortal world. How could it not be the mortal world? One by one, the true gods quickly exchanged thoughts, looking around at their surroundings, feeling an unprecedented strangeness. Stop arguing. An upper-rank god thought for a moment and spoke. According to our speed, we should have already arrived at Long Shanling by now, but where is Long Shanling now? With these words, the faces of all the other true gods turned solemn. Indeed. The speed of a true god is incredibly fast. Even if the plateau of myriad nations is vast and expansive, a large group of true gods like them flying for this long should have already arrived. True gods are not engaging in simple physical flying, theirs is a shifting flight that compresses spatial distances. What does this mean? Has Longshan Ling been moved away? Some true gods had yet to react, mostly lower-rank gods, who had little awareness of the essence of space. It's not that Longshan Ling has been moved away. It's us who have been moved. Unbeknownst to us, at some point, we were moved into a sealed space. An upper-rank god voiced his speculation. Although this conjecture was incredible, moving them in front of so many true gods seemed like a fantastical tale. Yet, aside from this possibility, the upper-rank god could think of no other explanation. If you don't believe it, you can try to return to the ocean of light. This upper-rank god glanced at the other gods, whose faces were filled with disbelief, and added another line. The ocean of light is located not in any specific location in the mortal world, but in another spatial layer. Thus, no matter how much those demigods in the mortal world search, they can never find the dwelling of the gods, the ocean of light and the dark abyss. To the demigods, the ocean of light may seem far away, but to the true gods present, it was but a stone's throw away. With their true selves as coordinates, the numerous divine power incarnations easily locked onto the spatial layer where the ocean of light was located. Ultimately, all they had to do was break through the space to enter. I can't believe that there exists such a powerful being in the mortal world capable of moving us effortlessly. Correct, I am going back to the ocean of light now. Apart from the great prime god, it is absolutely impossible for anyone else to move us collectively. A significant portion of the true self-incarnations immediately broke the space, attempting to enter the ocean of light and reunite with their true bodies. However, the space was indeed broken open. But moments later, all of the divine power incarnations reappeared in the main space, their faces pale. Through the recent attempt, these divine power incarnations were shocked to find that they could vaguely sense the location of the ocean of light. But they just couldn't reach it. It seemed as though there was an invisible barrier separating them. Or rather, all of their divine power incarnations were within a spatial prison. This speculation made the faces of many divine power incarnations look awful, even carrying a hint of fear. If the speculation were true, then who could be behind this act? The Prime God. Would the Prime God have such a boring time as to tease them? If not the Prime God, then who? Outside the Longshan Great Hall, under the watchful eyes of the rank Pope and Longshan Ling among other core members of the Longshan family, Lin Yuan's right hand reached into the void, and his palms suddenly filled with hundreds of headless fly-like messen figures. Clan leader, if what the Pope says is correct, and a large number of true God incarnations are about to descend, hiding in the rank church is the most urgent matter. Clan leader, there are many doubts about the disappearance of the many demigods, we should prioritize preserving ourselves now. Longshan Ling and other core members of the Longshan family continued to earnestly advise. They knew the importance of Longshan Yuan to the Longshan family. Anything could happen to anyone in the Longshan family, even total destruction. But nothing could happen to Longshan Yuan. With Longshan Yuan present, rebuilding the Longshan family was only a matter of time, but without Longshan Yuan, even if every member of the Longshan family survived, what awaited them was partitioning by other forces. As for what Lin Yuan just said need to hide, Longshan Ling and others believed it meant denying any connection with the disappearance of the many demigods. Chapter 589 The God Among Men, please subscribe, _2 But at this time, whether it was Lin Yuan's doing had become irrelevant. With so many true God incarnations descending, it was entirely possible for them to mistakenly kill Longshan Yuan in an accident. Longshan Ling and other core members of the Longshan family also noticed several hundred Jezi figures emerge in the palm of their patriarch. However, they didn't pay it much attention. The most pressing matter was to follow the rank Pope into the rank church before those true God incarnations arrived. Only by the grace of the great main God of rank could they deter those true God incarnations. Anxiety also filled the heart of the rank pope standing beside them. The descent of hundreds of true God incarnations was a pressure even for him. Relying on his identity as an affiliated spirit of the main god of rank, the rank pope was certain that the incarnations would not dare to lay a hand on him. But as for Lin Yuan. Firstly, Lin Yuan was not a follower of the main god of rank. If he indeed had something to do with the disappearance of the demigod, the rank pope had no reason to protect him. Only by entering the rank church could they invoke the untouchable majesty of the main god of rank to block those true god incarnations. Longshan Patriarch, there's no time to lose. The rank pope looked toward Lin Yuan, already considering the idea of forcibly taking him into the church. Lin Yuan had publicly revealed his strength as a demigod, but the rank pope's true self was a true god from the ocean of light, and although he was but an affiliated spirit of a main god, his strength was slightly greater than that of a lower rank god. Even if his current flesh was merely a human vessel, forcibly taking away a demigod would pose no problem. Longshan Patriarch, please forgive my offense. The rank pope took a deep breath. Before making his move, he subconsciously glanced at the palm of Lin Yuan's right hand. Ha! The rank pope took another look. Then a third look. A fourth look. A fifth look. Until finally, the rank pope's gaze was fixedly staring at the palm of Lin Yuan's right hand. Within the palm, several hundred jizzy figures appeared like headless flies, frantically scrambling around but always failing to escape from the confines of the palm. For a demigod, this was not unusual. Capturing some flies and trapping them in one's palm was quite simple. But the rank pope's forehead was now covered in cold sweat. If Lin Yuan's palm was magnified 100 million times, those jizzy figures within would also be magnified 100 million times. It would be revealed that these jizzy figures were embodiments with tremendous aura, far surpassing the peak of a demigod, true god incarnations. True god incarnations. The rank pope felt this was absurd. A true god incarnation was a continuation of a true god's will, and even the incarnation of a lower rank god approximates the threshold of an 8th layer true god. But now, these true god incarnations were struggling like ants in Lin Yuan's palm. How could this be possible? This is wrong. The rank pope immediately looked towards the edge of the sky. Just a moment ago, to be precise, before Lin Yuan stretched out his right hand and those several hundred jizzy figures emerged in his palm, the rank pope could distinctly feel terrifying auras rapidly approaching Longshanling. Those should have been the true god incarnations coming to seek accountability. But now, all of those auras had vanished without a trace. The rank pope had originally thought that the incarnations concealed their presence out of wariness of the rank church. But now, the rank pope, staring at the struggling jizzy figures in Lin Yuan's palm and considering the sudden disappearance of the incarnation's auras, a terrible thought suddenly surfaced in his mind. At the same time, in the ocean of light far away, the true body of the rank pope began to contact those gods who had come to hold others accountable. These true god incarnations might have been trapped in Lin Yuan's palm, but their true selves were still free, although at this moment they were in complete disarray. All true god incarnations are trapped in an unknown and vast space, unable to break free, unable to return to the ocean of light. Some true gods wonder if it was the hand of the prime god of the dark abyss. The rank pope uncontrollably swallowed his saliva, his gaze still fixed on Lin Yuan's right palm. Trapped in an unknown and vast space. Could it be the palm of the Longshan Patriarch? Waves of shock crashed in the heart of the rank pope, and he could no longer maintain a calm expression. Because it was beyond belief. Just a demigod from the Longshan family, and merely by lifting and retracting his right hand, he trapped hundreds of true god incarnations in his palm. This was no longer within the capabilities of true gods, and even an upper-rank god of great power couldn't possibly possess such skills. This was the work of a prime god. The realm of a 9th-rank prime god. Even the rank pope felt that for a 9th-rank prime god, killing a few hundred true gods might not be a difficult task, but to play with hundreds of true gods at the spatial level like Lin Yuan did? Perhaps even those prime gods not proficient in spatial abilities couldn't achieve this with such nonchalance. Defeating and killing are two different things. Killing and toying with them are equally distinct. Longshan Patriarch, you, the rank Pope's voice trembled as he looked at Lin Yuan, whose back was turned to him, his gaze wandering into space. It's over. Those true god incarnations won't be coming anymore. Lin Yuan glanced at the rank Pope and then at the confused-looking core members of the Longshan family like Longshan Ling. Immediately after, Lin Yuan slightly raised his right hand, brought his face close to his palm, and took a gentle breath. World within the palm. After the initial panic and confusion, hundreds of true god incarnations immediately began to collaborate, trying to break the prison and return to the human world. Space has its limits, and even the most expansive human world can be torn apart layer by the battles among gods. This spatial prison that had them trapped should be the same. If hundreds of true god incarnations joined forces, the energy they released should reach the level of an upper-rank god. At that point, even if they couldn't tear apart the prison, they estimated that they could at least shake it a bit, and that would be their chance. However, after many attempts by the group of true god incarnations and tearing through millions of spatial layers of this spatial prison, they still couldn't see its end. Such a thick spatial prison, which prime god from the dark abyss made this move? A true god incarnation couldn't help but speak out. At first, they didn't think it was the deed of a prime god because the prime gods wouldn't be so idle. But as they continuously probed and understood the spatial prison, their astonishment intensified. Other than a prime god, who else could create such a space? What do we do now? Ask for help from the prime god of the ocean of light. The many true self-incarnations seemed somewhat helpless. Suddenly. Just then. Above this piece of heaven and earth, a face appeared that took up half the sky. The size of one eye on this face was as large as the sun, and without emitting any presence, it still made all godly incarnations' souls tremble. Before the true self-incarnations could react, they saw the immense face turn towards them and take a gentle breath. Instantly, a terrifying force permeated every inch of space. All true self-incarnations were scattered into nothingness. Even the upper-rank gods' true self-incarnations didn't last a moment. The true selves were incarnations of divine power, not flesh and blood, created from the purest divine force, and at that moment, all divine incarnations returned to their origins, turning into a vast amount of pure energy and flowing into the mouth of that vast face. Outside. Lin Yuan ate all the divine power incarnations in one bite, and with his current size, the energy contained within these embodiments was no more than a dessert after a meal, barely offering a taste. It's done. Lin Yuan patted his right hand, and swept a look over the rigid rank Pope, and the still confused core members of the Longshan family like Longshan Ling, who hadn't yet grasped what had happened. There is no danger now. Go about your business. After speaking, Lin Yuan walked straight into the Longshan Great Hall, dealing with the divine force incarnations of the hundreds of true gods without any difficulty. As a 9th rank who had opened 90 million spatial layers, Lin Yuan's expertise in space was such that even some 10th rankers in the main world might not boldly claim they could best him, much less in this world. Patriarch, the core members of the Longshan family like Longshan Ling blinked, still not recovered, wondering what meant by there being no danger. Hadn't the rank Pope just said that many true god incarnations were on their way over to seek accountability? Your Holiness, what, in heaven's name, happened? Longshan Ling looked towards the rank Pope next to him, his expression still anxious. The rank Pope. Chapter 590 On the Brink of Collapse. Please subscribe. Yes, Your Holiness, what exactly happened? The other members of the Longshan family were also somewhat puzzled. They absolutely trusted Lin Yuan, but just moments ago, hundreds of true self-incarnations were about to arrive, and the demise of the Longshan family seemed imminent. Now there's no danger. The situation had changed too quickly. What happened? The rank Pope remained silent. His mind replayed the scene where Lin Yuan had simply inhaled gently, and all the mesons within his palm crumbled and merged into his mouth. One must know, those mesons were true god incarnations. Among them, some upper-rank god incarnations were scarcely weaker than normal true gods. Yet, they had met such an end. The rank Pope's heart trembled a bit, feeling somewhat relieved that he had not acted earlier because, otherwise, even if he had not died, he would likely have been brushed aside by Lin Yuan. How could the Longshan Patriarch be so powerful? The rank Pope looked up at the sky. There, numerous stars hung, marking the territories of the divine kingdom of the gods of Light's Ocean and the Dark Abyss. The number of gods is limited, so the divine kingdoms are also limited, and the stars in the sky are just as finite. In this world, some demigods tread carefully, secretly gathering faith, perhaps evading the perception of the gods. But once they take that step and become true gods, raising their own divine kingdom, there is no way to hide it. Because divine kingdoms are too conspicuous, turned into stars, suspended high above in the sky, and the number is just so many, each new one will surely attract the attention of the gods. However, in recent centuries, even millennia, there hasn't been an additional star in the sky. That is to say, no new deities have been born. From this one can infer that the Longshan Patriarch has not yet become a deity, at least he hasn't raised a divine kingdom. But without raising a divine kingdom, without the power of a divine kingdom, why is the Longshan Patriarch so strong? The rank Pope felt his understanding shattering. How could the Longshan Patriarch, not a deity, kill gods as if they were mere ants? The rank Pope steadied himself, gathered his thoughts, and looked towards the puzzled Longshan Ling and several other core members of the Longshan family. What the Longshan Patriarch said is true. There's no longer any danger. The rank Pope said with difficulty. Danger. All the danger had been consumed by the Longshan Patriarch in one gulp. Ah. It's really safe now. While Longshan Ling and the others sighed in relief, their curiosity grew even more. Those true god incarnations were all resolved by the Longshan Patriarch. Those mesons in the Patriarch's palm just now were those true god incarnations. After a moment of silence, the rank Pope patiently explained. He had a premonition that after today, the reputation of the Longshan Patriarch would resound through the Light's Ocean and the Dark Abyss. Those things were true god incarnations. Longshan Ling and the others went into a daze. True god incarnations are so weak. As soon as the last sentence was spoken, they realized the truth. It was not that the true god incarnations were weak, but that their patriarch was too strong. Compared to him, the mighty and invincible true god incarnations appeared pitifully frail. I must leave now. In the end, the rank Pope cast a deep glance into the Longshan Great Hall, and then turned and left. What he had witnessed was too unbelievable, and he needed to report to the main god of rank immediately. In fact, he didn't need to report, the matter simply couldn't be kept secret, and the original true gods whose deific incarnations were consumed by Lin Yuan were already in an uproar. This incident would spread at a terrifying speed among the gods, and not only within the Ocean of Light. The Ocean of Light. Inside the serpentine and coiling palace. Hundreds of true gods looked at each other in shock, the amazement in their hearts nearly overflowing. My divine incarnation is dead. Same here, I can't sense it at all anymore. That enormous face that appeared last, doesn't it resemble the patriarch of the Longshan family? It's not just resemblance, it must be the Longshan Patriarch. As true gods of the 8th layer, their memories would not fail them. If that enormous face were reduced by 1 billion times, it would be that of the Longshan Patriarch. Moreover, their divine incarnations were en route to Longshan Ling to question the Longshan Patriarch for his crimes and were taken to the spatial prison. Multiple clues converged, pointing towards a possibility. It was the Longshan Patriarch himself who had acted against them. The one they regarded as an ant, whose soul they intended to burn in their divine kingdom for 10,000 years, was just a mere demigod. Truth be told, the gods had never taken the Longshan patriarch seriously, even though he was behind the disappearance of demigods these years. After all, a demigod is just that, a demigod. No matter how powerful, as long as one hasn't gathered faith and raised a divine kingdom, they are still an ant. But now, the ant in the eyes of the gods had suddenly transformed into a towering dragon. Impossible. How can he be this strong without becoming a god? Yes, the Longshan patriarch isn't even a true god, how could he possibly be this powerful? Despite the overwhelming evidence, there were still true gods who couldn't believe it. They had gone through countless trials and tribulations, and with great difficulty, raised their divine kingdoms and entered the ocean of light, becoming deities exalted by all living beings. And then this happened. I must see the prime god to understand the reason behind this. How exactly is the Longshan patriarch so powerful? Right, but which prime god should we go to? Let's go to the god of divination. There's nothing in the world he doesn't know about. The god of divination must be aware of the origins of the Longshan patriarch. One by one, the true gods rose to their feet. Chapter 591 On the Brink of Collapse. Please subscribe. _2 Among the 12 prime gods of the Ocean of Light, the god of divination is the most unique, and also the best-tempered. The other prime gods, such as the main god of rank, goddess of the magic web, rainbow dragon god, and so on, are almost absolutely rational, spending their time either in slumber or in seclusion. Only the god of divination would sometimes solve their doubts. Previously, the gods had sought the god of divination to deduce the last known locations of the vanished demigods. Now it seems that this deduction was clearly correct. With the strength of the Longshan patriarch, secretly abducting some demigods was too easy. Could the Longshan patriarch be a deity who nearly perished long ago before the divine kingdom plunged into the mortal realm? A true god speculated. In the distant past, several divine wars had occurred, with many deities perishing and divine kingdoms falling into the mortal realm. However, the fall of a divine kingdom into the mortal realm did not mean certain death. As long as there were still believers in the mortal realm, the perished deity still had a possibility of returning. Of course, the probability of such a possibility was so low as to be pitiable, merely a theoretical possibility, and in reality, it had never occurred. But the Longshan patriarch was too powerful, so some true gods couldn't help but think in this direction. Whether he is a perished deity from the past or not, once we see the god of divination, everything will become clear, another true god responded. They had absolute trust in the god of divination. Longshan Great Hall. Within the cultivation room, Lin Yuan sat down cross-legged again. The taste of a divine power incarnation is somewhat better than that of mere divine crystals. Lin Yuan smacked his lips, casually giving his opinion, knowing that in the main world prime universe, the pure energy contained within these divine power incarnations far exceeded that of scarlet spirit liquid. It's a pity that it is only an incarnation. If it were the true God himself, at least I could have tried out the effects of true divine nature. Lin Yuan felt a bit of regret. With his current strength, the incarnations of the true gods weren't much different from the originals, as the absolute control over nearly 100 million spatial layers allowed Lin Yuan to overpower any true god or even a prime god on the spatial level. But it won't be long now. Once I completely understand the last bit of spatial essence in the demigod lattice. Lin Yuan thought to himself, in his eyes, the spatial essence contained in the demigod lattice was a reflection of the spatial essence of this world. It was like a television, the demigods only knew to watch programs through it. But Lin Yuan was deducing a complete modern factory industrial chain through the television itself, and from that, comprehending all of modern industry. Of course, the spatial essence of a world was many times more difficult than a mere industrial chain. It was just an analogy. The spatial essence corresponding to the demigod lattice belonged to the foundational part. Lin Yuan needed to thoroughly understand it in order to contemplate the spatial essence corresponding to true divine nature with more efficiency. Space, layers upon layers of spatial levels faintly emerged in the depths of Lin Yuan's eyes. The layers within his inner world were also rapidly emerging, with new spatial layers being born almost at every passing moment. Suddenly, Lin Yuan stopped his contemplation and turned his head in a certain direction. Have you had enough of watching? Lin Yuan muttered to himself. Rustle, rustle. Invisible forces converged. A tall and cold-eyed, breathtakingly beautiful woman appeared. The very moment this woman appeared, the rules of heaven and earth seemed to make way, and an aura superior to that of true God spread and permeated the surrounding. Goddess of the Magic Web. Lin Yuan looked at the beautiful woman not far away, without any sign of surprise. Who knew first about Lin Yuan's actions against the numerous divine incarnations? Their true God selves in the ocean of light, or the rank pope beside Lin Yuan? Neither. The first to detect the anomaly was this goddess of the magic web, who covered the entire mortal realm with her web and was one of the 12 prime gods of the ocean of light. Where the magic web extended, that was the expanse of the goddess' perceptual range. When Lin Yuan moved against the Lush Church, and the primordial spirit personally descended upon the Lush Church's stronghold, it was out of wariness of this goddess of the magic web, fearing that unleashing too powerful a force would attract her attention. Longshan Patriarch, who exactly are you? The goddess of the magic web's eyes shone with a peculiar light as she looked at Lin Yuan and slowly inquired. As a prime god, exalted above all, overlooking all living beings and gods, little in this world could stir their emotions anymore. But Lin Yuan was certainly one who could. Who I am, you'll know soon enough. I will personally enter the ocean of light. By then, I hope you prime gods will not disappoint me. Lin Yuan couldn't be bothered to commune with these prime gods, raising his right hand as the terrifying force of the world, combined with the power of multiple spatial layers, swept away everything. The goddess of the magic web before him was merely an incarnation formed by the magic web that enshrouded the mortal world. Naturally, she couldn't withstand a casual blow from Lin Yuan. Magic web. Lin Yuan looked around, his thoughts stirring slightly. His power spread in all directions, driving away the ever-present magic web. Without the magic web, how would members of the Longshan family communicate? With Lin Yuan's strength, it was entirely possible to reconstruct a new communication network to replace the original magic web. Ocean of Light. True gods gathered in front of the towering temple of the god of divination. The events they had recently experienced had already spread among the gods. The emergence of a powerful stranger in the human realm, comparable to the prime god, was too significant not to proliferate. Thus, the true gods converging in front of the temple numbered in the hundreds. At least 80% of the divine lattice holders of the entire ocean of light had been attracted here. Even from afar, the will of the prime gods lingered, watching. At that moment, the temple doors opened. The white-robed god of divination emerged. I already know why you have come, said the god of divination, a white-haired elder with a gentle tone and a warm gaze. To clarify the origins of the Longshan Patriarch is no difficult task, he said calmly, though he too was curious. He had initially foretold the vanishing demigod's last traces at Longshan Ling but hadn't continued to divine further. He hadn't expected the situation to cause such an uproar. Thank you, God of Divination. The God of Divination knows all. The origins of the Longshan Patriarch will undoubtedly be revealed to us soon, the true God said with livened spirits. The combat power the Longshan Patriarch had demonstrated, no weaker than the prime gods, intrigued them greatly. Then I shall begin. The God of Divination smiled slightly, solemnly reciting the Longshan Patriarch's name and the specific location of Longshan Ling. He then activated the power of time main god form within him, leveraging the rules and great Tao of this world to probe the true history of the Longshan Patriarch. Whirl, whirl. Scenes manifested in front of the God of Divination. They depicted past events that had occurred at Longshan Ling. These events started to unfold before the God of Divination, rewinding in time. 100 years. 200 years. 300 years. 400 years. In an instant, time had traveled back 400 to 500 years. What could the origins be? Murmured the god of divination, his expression tinged with expectation. Foretelling, essentially, was an act of time. By leveraging the time main god form within him, he could trace back into the past. That's why he was known as omniscient. After all, as long as he traced back far enough, nothing in the world remained a secret to the god of divination. In the ocean of light, among the 24 prime gods of the dark abyss, the god of divination might not have been the strongest in combat power, but he was certainly the hardest to kill. Watching the past had granted the god of divination countless means to save his life. Time continued to reverse. But at a certain node, the slow reversal of time came to an impasse. The god of divination's expression shifted slightly, as he had never encountered such a situation before. Something was actually withstanding his reversal of time. The god of divination hurriedly examined the scene. The young Longshan patriarch was lying on the bed when he suddenly opened his eyes. The next moment, the reversed flow of time, as if encountering an unimaginable entity. The entire river of time began to ripple, and the god of divination's expression drastically changed. He clearly felt a backlash from the river of time, almost devouring him. Spurt. The god of divination turned ashen, his breath plunging continuously, and cracks began to appear within his time main god form. Above the firmament, the enormous star representing the god of divination, which almost illuminated 1/10 of the sky, suddenly began to shake violently. It teetered on the brink. Chapter 592 Supreme God, subscribe please, Longshan Great Hole. Lin Yuan was delving into the essence of space within the demigod lattice. Suddenly, Lin Yuan opened his eyes. Is someone spying on me? A subtle movement in Lin Yuan's heart. Just at that moment, he felt an extremely covert sensation of being watched. This feeling of being watched wasn't a spatial one, but rather pertained to the aspect of time. If Lin Yuan hadn't profoundly understood the rule of time over these years, he probably wouldn't have sensed anything unusual at all. Even beings of 9th rank and even 10th rank life forms would find it difficult to counteract within the domain of time. Simply put, there was some entity, traversing against the river of time, trying to decipher Lin Yuan's true origins. Lin Yuan's mind sank into his mental sea where the majestic and grand door to the myriad realms stood, a trivial backlash, following the projection of the door to the myriad realms, indifferently released. Detected a thread of the aura of the door to the myriad realms? No, it should be a subtle trace, and then encountered a backlash. A hint of oddity flickered across Lin Yuan's expression. The door to the myriad realms, whose rank Lin Yuan still hadn't figured out, however, it was certain that it far surpassed the level of a 12th rank supreme being. Transcending dimensions, which supreme beings can't touch, yet the door to the myriad realms can do it as easily as eating or drinking. Such beings already possess characteristics of unseeable and unspyable, like a blazing sun, continuously emitting energy at all times. Life forms whose strength and realm aren't sufficient, if they dare to look or spy directly, even if they are separated by vast distances and multiple dimensional barriers, will still suffer horrible backlashes. This was only a projection of the door to the myriad realms. If it were the door to the myriad realms itself. In fact, there's no such possibility because the instant the door to the myriad realms itself descends into this world, everything will shatter. Lin Yuan couldn't sustain the door to the myriad realms itself, and neither could this world. Is it the sovereign god of the ocean of light? Or the sovereign god of the dark abyss? Lin Yuan speculated in his heart while looking up at the sky. Stars symbolic of the gods seemingly hung eternally indestructible. Within the largest 24 stars, one began showing intense fluctuations, looking as if it was about to fall. The god of divination. Lin Yuan carefully observed and came to a conclusion. The numerous stars hanging in the sky, each corresponded to a true god, especially those 24 largest stars, which were the divine kingdoms of the prime gods. No sooner had the backlash from the door to the myriad realms transferred over than one of the prime gods' divine kingdoms started trembling. Lin Yuan almost confirmed that the one who had spied on him through the dimension of time was the adversary. Yet, there is also a prime god who possesses the attribute of time. Lin Yuan's heart grew slightly fervent. The rule of time, though belonging to the foundational rules like the space rules, its complexity and difficulty in mastering surpassed the latter by far. In this world, the demigods, true gods, and even prime gods, their divine lattices serve as keys to unlocking the essence of rules. For example, a demigod lattice with spatial attributes could allow Lin Yuan to see the true essence of space in this world, thus vastly benefiting the creation of spatial layers. What about a divine lattice with time attributes? Or a prime god form? It depends on the extent to which the nature of time is contained within that time prime god's divine lattice, Lin Yuan thought silently. If the nature of time contained within is too high, Lin Yuan would actually find it troublesome because it implies that this time prime god possesses superior application of the rule of time, like his true body directly ascending against the flow of time, hiding in the past. In that case, Lin Yuan, despite having absolute strength, could do nothing against the opponent. But the probability of this is not high. To ascend against the flow with one's true body, one must fully understand the complete rule of time. If that time prime god had such strength, spying on Lin Yuan through the layer of time would not have been detected. So far, Lin Yuan's understanding of the rule of time is just at a beginner level, still far from even a minor achievement. Hopefully, he wasn't directly killed by the backlash, right? Lin Yuan closely observed that massive star in the heavens. After learning of the other's rare time attribute divine lattice, Lin Yuan instead worried about the other's safety. Ocean of light. Before the temple. The gods all eagerly watched the god of divination. Hoping to utilize the power of this great prime god to clarify the origins of that Longshan patriarch. However, what happened next shocked all the present true gods. The god of divination, whose aura had been profoundly unknowable, suddenly started to disperse, and its descent seemed almost endless. The change in the massive star belonging to the god of divination in the firmament was quickly noticed by the gods. What's going on? What exactly happened? The god of divination, the great god of divination, why would this happen? Many true gods couldn't believe it. Had they not seen it with their own eyes, they would never have imagined such a sight happening to a high and mighty prime god. Divine power and divine body were even depleting. This was a prime god. Since ancient times, even amidst brutal divine wars, prime gods remained high above. Historically, there have indeed been prime gods who mysteriously disappeared, but never because of battles among other prime gods. Backlash, this is a backlash. The god of divination has encountered a backlash. An old upper-rank god seemed to think of something and couldn't help but speak in a low voice. Theoretically, each time the god of divination, who holds the authority of divination, conducts a divination, a price must be paid. The extent of the price depends on the diviner and the divined. Chapter 593 Supreme God, subscribe please, _2 But the god of divination was too powerful, one of the 24 prime gods who were the strongest in heaven and earth. Even if he divined the secrets of prime gods of the same level, he basically did not have to pay much of a price. Because of this, the vast majority of true gods had forgotten that exercise of the divination authority came with a cost. What exactly is the origin of the Longshan patriarch that made the god of divination pay such a price? Could it have something to do with the legend of the supreme god? The supreme god. The true gods wore solemn expressions. Since the creation of the world, when the first prime god, the god of light, was born, rumors of the supreme god had been circulating. It was said that the supreme god created everything, including the true god forms that the prime gods possessed, which were also bestowed by the supreme god. Why is the number of prime gods fixed at 24? It is because to become a prime god, one must have a true god form. And there are only 24 true god forms. Theoretically, a new prime god is born only when the previous one falls. There have been several instances in history where a prime god vanished, and shortly after, the world reconverged and produced the true god form corresponding to that prime god. Swish. As the true gods were communicating with each other, the god of divination, whose aura and divine body had both plummeted to the bottom, barely held on. What is that? The god of divination's gaze carried a trace of fear. He had used the method of time reversal, attempting to pinpoint the origin of the Longshan patriarch, but in the end, he saw no useful scenes, and it was only now that he was recovering from the backlash that had struck him down. The Supreme God. The god of divination also immediately thought of the Supreme God. He had never seen the Supreme God, but under the current circumstances, the backlash that he suffered could only be explained by the legendary Supreme God, other than which the god of divination could think of no other explanation. The Longshan patriarch actually obtained an opportunity related to the Supreme God. The god of divination took a deep breath. He did not believe that the Longshan patriarch was the Supreme God, because if that were true, none of what had happened earlier would have occurred. Given the status of the Supreme God, a single command would have made even them, prime gods, obediently comply, so how could it be possible for demigods to still be abducted among humans? An opportunity related to the Supreme God, a hint of longing flashed in the depths of the god of divination's eyes. Longshan Ling. The many members of the Longshan family had also received the news. Over the years, the Longshan family's influence had radiated throughout the entire plateau of myriad nations. Starting from Longshan Ling naturally, they had made many demigod acquaintances. And a large part of these demigods were connected to true gods from the Ocean of Light. Thus, it was quickly passed to the Longshan family that the divine incarnations of hundreds of true gods, who descended, were all slain by the hands of the Longshan patriarch. The patriarch killed the incarnations of hundreds of true gods. Many of the Longshan family elders were shocked. They had watched the Longshan family grow step by step from being a viscount power to what it was today. Even the longevity the elders enjoyed was a gift from the patriarch. However, no matter how much these family elders admired their own patriarch, when they learned that the incarnations of lofty true gods seemed like ants before Lin Yuan, they were staggered. How could this be possible? Wasn't it said that everything beneath true gods were mere ants? Why were true gods now the ants? My son, has he become a god? Longshan Fong asked dazedly, his understanding being not so high, not clear that ascending to godhood and lifting divine kingdom could not be hidden at all. But if Longshan Yuan could kill hundreds of divine incarnations so easily, the only possibility was that he had also become a god himself. Ah Yuan, Longshan Fang's wife, also looked incredulous. She still remembered Longshan Yuan as the good-for-nothing playboy from before, now to have reached such lofty heights. The patriarch has not become a god. Longshan Ling took the initiative to speak out. That was information revealed by the rank pope, and likely not false. Moreover, any strong being who ascended to godhood must enter the ocean of light or the dark abyss at the first chance, which was an ironclad rule among the gods. But now, the Longshan patriarch was still residing in the cultivation hall of the Great Hall. Not a god. The many members of the Longshan family looked at each other in bewilderment. Most of them were not clear about the significance of what had transpired, but their reverence and admiration for the patriarch instantly deepened. Ocean of Light. The Great Hall of the Gods. Upon the 24 thrones, silhouettes appeared one after another. These figures were all prime gods, not only including those from the Ocean of Light but also those from the Dark Abyss were converging. Though the factions of the Ocean of Light and the Dark Abyss were different, and numerous divine wars had occurred over the course of countless years, such matters were for the true gods beneath the prime gods. In the eyes of the prime gods, there was no difference between the Ocean of Light and the Dark Abyss. The 24 prime gods essentially existed on the same level of life, and there was no hatred among them that couldn't be dissolved. At this moment, faced with an opportunity related to the Supreme God, they gathered one after the other. Divination, is the Longshan Patriarch truly related to the Supreme God? Said a figure shrouded in darkness solemnly. He was the Dark God. He was the second Prime God born in this world. While the Ocean of Light was created by the Prime God of Light, the Dark Abyss was created by him. If it wasn't related to the Supreme God, how would I have fallen into such a predicament? The God of Divination replied weakly. Even if barely resisting the backlash, the God of Divination was drained of his endowment, with his divine kingdom on the verge of collapse. Such loss would take 1,000,000 years to recover from. Indeed, the Dark God's eyes flickered, and he said no more. What level is the Longshan Patriarch at now? At that moment, a figure shrouded in endless light spoke up. I can confirm that the Longshan Patriarch is still a 9th level being. The backlash didn't come from him, the God of Divination quickly replied. The Longshan Patriarch's strength is greater than any of us here, said the goddess of the magic web with a cold gaze. Not long ago, she had descended in an incarnation, attempting to communicate with the Longshan Patriarch, only to be obliterated with a mere gesture from him. Through this brief encounter, the goddess of the magic web vaguely gauged the Longshan Patriarch's strength. As long as he has not completely surpassed the 9th level, we can talk about it. A prime god with an ethereal form spoke, his gaze sweeping over the other 23 prime gods. My fellow deities, how shall we deal with the Longshan Patriarch? Upon these words, the 23 prime gods exchanged glances, remaining silent. The 24 prime gods had lived for countless years, with even their emotions worn away to a mere fraction, but at this moment, they felt a rekindled hunger. A hunger for an opportunity related to the Supreme God. It might help them take a step further, to rise above the other prime gods. Then, there would be no distinction between the Ocean of Light and the Dark Abyss in this world. You wish to deal with that Longshan Patriarch, to seize the opportunity related to the Supreme God. The God of Divination understood the intentions of the prime gods. In fact, he harbored the same aspiration, for who wouldn't want to advance further? But considering the current state of the God of Divination, it was merely wishful thinking. In dealing with the Longshan Patriarch, we must exercise extreme caution. Do not forget, he resides in the human realm. Even if we join forces, we might not seize the opportunity related to the Supreme God, and instead shatter the human realm, another prime god spoke up. Whether it be the chance of the Supreme God or the possibility of advancing, the myriad beings of the human realm are the foundation of the prime gods. Right, we need to find a pretext to lure the Longshan Patriarch into the Ocean of Light or the Dark Abyss. The other prime gods nodded slightly, aware that only in the deep recesses of the Ocean of Light or the Dark Abyss, layered by numerous spatial layers, could they act without restraint. Longshan Ling. The Longshan Great Hall. Lin Yuan was still in closed-door cultivation, comprehending the demigod lattice. Your aptitude defies the heavens, observing the nature of the world's rules, your understanding of space continues to rise. Your aptitude defies the heavens, observing the nature of the world's rules, your understanding of space continues to rise. Your aptitude defies the heavens, observing the nature of the world's rules, your understanding of space continues to rise. Accompanying the vast insights merging into his heart, a qualitative change finally occurred, and Lin Yuan suddenly came to an enlightenment, fully comprehending the basic facet of the spatial essence of this world. So that's how it is. Lin Yuan opened his eyes, his gaze profound. Simultaneously, his inner world began to undergo earth-shattering changes. Chapter 594 Stars fall like rain upon the mortal realm. Please subscribe. The inner world was vast and mighty. Spatial layers were being rapidly opened and derived one after another. Lin Yuan felt it briefly and deduced the current number of spatial layers his inner world occupied. 120 million spatial layers. In the main world prime universe, 9th rank lifeforms, also known as multispatial life, need to occupy as many spatial layers as possible. but 120 million spatial layers. Lin Yuan did not know if, throughout the ancient history of the main world, there had ever been a ninth-rank life that had opened such a number of spatial layers. But Lin Yuan had never heard of it. The vast majority of ninth-rank lifeforms, after exhausting all their efforts, only managed to open up 10 million spatial layers, and a few managed to reach 20 or 30 million spatial layers at most. Perhaps certain unique and unparalleled special lifeforms might aspire to open 70 or 80 million spatial layers. But more than 100 million spatial layers? Or 120 million? It's not that it wasn't feasible to open them, but normal ninth-rank lifeforms simply did not have the lifespan to do so. Even Lin Yuan achieved such a feat in a short time only thanks to the special properties of the divine lattice in this world. Just about there, he said. It's time to try for the true divine nature as well as the true God form. Lin Yuan looked towards the void, as if seeing through the numerous spatial layers, his gaze falling upon the expansive spatial layers of the ocean of light and the dark abyss. At this thought, Lin Yuan actively left the Longshan Great Hall. Patriarch. The Patriarch has come out of seclusion. Several members of the Longshan family had long been waiting outside. They had heard the unbelievable news and had gathered immediately outside the Longshan Great Hall. Yuan, the Longshan Fang couple looked at Lin Yuan, wanting to say something but not knowing where to start. The current Lin Yuan gave the same impression as before. It was somewhat difficult for them to connect him with the Longshan Patriarch who killed true God incarnations as if squashing ants. Patriarch, did you really kill those true God incarnations? Longshan Ling finally couldn't help but ask, is what the rank Pope said true? Indeed, I killed them, Lin Yuan nodded. With his inner world spatial layers reaching 120 million, he was even confident enough to go up against 10th rank life, hand to hand. In this region of the sky and earth, he was unmatched and unstoppable. It really was the Patriarch who killed them. The Patriarch was able to kill such numerous true God incarnations, he must possess the strength to kill a true God as well. Upon hearing this, the hearts of the other Longshan family members began to tremble. Learning of this matter from others was completely different from hearing it from their own Patriarch. Is our Longshan family going to become a divine spirit family? Tears brimmed in the eyes of many elderly members of the Longshan family. In the plateau of myriad nations, there exist some transcendental forces that are above empires, namely families that have given birth to true gods. These families are the ones that rank just below the various major churches, and they are even often the focus of true gods who ascend to the ocean of light. Now, the Longshan family was also about to join their ranks. This was more shocking than when Lin Yuan previously announced his demigod powers to the outside world. In this land, a true god signifies eternal glory. Lin Yuan glanced at the excited and exhilarated Longshan family members, smiling. I'm now going to the ocean of light. Going to the ocean of light. Longshan Ling realized then that their patriarch was not an ordinary true god. According to the rank Pope, the Longshan Patriarch had not yet established a divine kingdom, but he possessed almost invincible true god strength. Patriarch, what are you going to do in the ocean of light? Longshan Ling hesitated before finally working up the courage to ask. I'm going to negotiate a trade with the gods. Lin Yuan didn't hide anything and spoke directly. The trade Lin Yuan was going to discuss with the gods involved them willingly offering up their divine lattices, which he would understand in turn and could give back to them. Indeed, if the gods were willing to cooperate, Lin Yuan could absolutely give them some dignity. Negotiate a trade. Longshan Ling swallowed hard. She noted that Lin Yuan was not speaking of a specific true god, but the gods. What did that imply? Longshan Ling did not dare contemplate it further. The other Longshan family members, however, did not delve into the details. They were still immersed in the joy of the Longshan family soon becoming a divine spirit family. Slit, slash. Lin Yuan took a step forward. The stable space in front suddenly ripped open a crack, and a vast world filled with endless light emerged. That was the ocean of light. Lin Yuan continued stepping forward, entering the ocean of light. Immediately, the crack closed rapidly, leaving behind the Longshan family members with shocked expressions. This was also the first time for these ordinary people to see the true sight of the ocean of light, a place desired by countless demigods to glimpse just once, had so easily appeared before everyone. At the ocean of light. Vast and expansive, filled with the breath of endless light. Light? Lin Yuan's eyes narrowed slightly. It was said that the very first prime god in this world was the main god of light, controlling all the light in the world. Just as Lin Yuan entered the ocean of light. In the sanctuary where the 24 prime gods gathered, the face of the main god of light changed slightly. The Longshan patriarch has arrived at the ocean of light, the main god of light declared immediately. The ocean of light was created by him, and the main god of light had complete control over every subtle change in it. What? That Longshan patriarch actually dares to come here on his own. We were just thinking of how to lure the Longshan patriarch here, and now he's shown up himself. The remaining 23 prime gods were somewhat incredulous but quickly realized this presented an unprecedented opportunity. The Longshan patriarch was unaware of their true combined strength, which is why he dared to come of his own volition. I have sealed off the ocean of light. Now all divine spirits, including us prime gods, are unable to leave for a short time. Chapter 595 Stars fall like rain on earth, seeking subscriptions. _2 The prime god surveyed his surroundings. First, let's see what the Longshan patriarch has to say. If he's willing to share the opportunity of the supreme god with us, we can allow him to join us. This statement immediately won the approval of the other prime gods. If they could obtain the opportunity of the supreme god peacefully, they naturally wouldn't want to fight desperately. Who knows what kind of cards the Longshan patriarch holds, for him to dare come knocking so boldly. He must be confident. Even though they, the 24 prime gods, were confident in suppressing the Longshan patriarch, they might still be forcefully exchanged by him for a few of their number. No prime god was confident that they wouldn't be the ones exchanged. This spatial layer has been sealed. Lin Yuan, having only just arrived at the ocean of light, immediately noticed the changes in the spatial layer. Such a feeble seal. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. With his power, he only needed to gently tear it to shatter such a seal. However, his purpose for coming here was for the divine lattices of the gods. The sealing of the ocean of light was precisely to Lin Yuan's liking. While Lin Yuan was pondering, several figures began to appear in the distance. They were the many true gods who had been ordered by the prime god to hurry over. Is that the Longshan patriarch? Fortuitously gained the opportunity of the supreme god. The supreme god, oh, that's an existence even we true gods can't look up to. I had always thought the supreme god was a fiction. I didn't expect he really existed. The many true gods looked at Lin Yuan with various emotions in their eyes. Awe, greed, excitement, curiosity, and more. Whoosh. 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 Just then, 24 figures silently appeared above the many true gods. These 24 figures seemed eternal, emanating an almost immortal aura. 24 prime gods. The 12 prime gods from the dark abyss have also come. It seems today the Longshan patriarch is in great peril. The opportunity of the supreme god, if the prime gods can vie for it, so can I. The various true gods had different thoughts. In their eyes, Longshan Yuan was merely a common viscount heir among mortals, who, after gaining the opportunity of the supreme god, had suddenly reached this level of strength. If that opportunity of the supreme god fell into their hands, might they not hope to surpass the prime gods? Longshan patriarch. Just then, a towering prime god with golden dragon horns on his head spoke. He was the rainbow dragon god, the source of faith for all dragons in the world. Strictly speaking, the rainbow dragon clan bloodline within Lin Yuan came from this prime god. What brings you here today? the rainbow dragon god inquired, staring at Lin Yuan. Although he greatly desired the opportunity of the supreme god within Lin Yuan, the more it was at times like these, the less he could afford to show any impatience. I have come here to propose a trade, Lin Yuan said with a smile. He looked at the many true gods and the 24 prime gods, his heart also full of expectation. How many layers would these divine lattices and true god forms expand his spatial layers to? A trade. You want to negotiate a trade with us? The rainbow dragon god was slightly taken aback, as were the other 23 prime gods. What trade? The prime god of light directly asked. I would like to borrow everyone's divine lattice, Lin Yuan said. Upon hearing this, not only did the 24 prime gods fall silent, but the many true gods below also fell silent. The divine lattice is the absolute core of a deity. Handing over one's divine lattice to someone else is tantamount to entrusting them with one's life. Especially for the prime gods, their status stems from their true god forms. Handing over the true god form, should Lin Yuan harbor ill intentions, they would be doomed without redemption. Longshan Patriarch, you are too arrogant, the dark god said coldly. You want us to hand over our divine lattice. What do you intend to offer in exchange? Though there was no agreement to Lin Yuan's proposal, the dark god still wished to know what Lin Yuan had in mind for the trade. As long as you hand over your divine lattices, I will spare your lives, Lin Yuan said frankly. Ha 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 ha, it seems, Longshan Patriarch, you are quite confident in dealing with us. And you'll spare us. Today, you better just stay put in the ocean of light. Many prime gods and true gods were amused, even though Lin Yuan demonstrated spatial skill surpassing those of ordinary prime gods. But now, they had 24 prime gods and a large number of true gods. Even if the strength of the Longshan Patriarch was formidable, it was impossible for him to contend against them. The power held by the 24 prime gods corresponded to the origin source forces of this realm, which was why they were confident they could suppress Lin Yuan. As long as they joined forces, no one could stop them unless it was the supreme god himself. It seems negotiations are off the table. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. Persuading the gods to voluntarily hand over their divine lattice was indeed challenging. However, for Lin Yuan, the impact wasn't significant. He could simply take it himself if needed. Longshan Patriarch, hand over the supreme god opportunity, and we will let you go. The main god of rank spoke up. Originally, his subordinate spirits had planned to recruit the Longshan Patriarch, thus he still harbored a sense of compassion towards Lin Yuan. Right, hand over the supreme god opportunity, and all will be well. The opportunity of the supreme god is not something you can enjoy alone. The other prime gods immediately said, staring intently at Lin Yuan, their eyes filled with longing. They no longer hid their intentions, directly demanding the supreme god's opportunity from Lin Yuan. As for whether this would enrage the supreme god, if the supreme god truly did not wish them to obtain the supreme opportunity, the prime gods wouldn't have had any contact with Lin Yuan at all. Since up to this point, the supreme god had given no indication, it meant that the supreme god's opportunity in the hands of the Longshan Patriarch could be seized. The supreme god's opportunity. Lin Yuan raised an eyebrow. Never mind, there's no point in arguing with you. Since you all wish to die, I will satisfy you. Upon saying this, all the true gods were a bit astonished, and the 24 prime gods tensed up. Although they were greedy, reason still prevailed. Considering how domineering the Longshan Patriarch had been up to this point, could he really possess the power to sweep through numerous true gods and the 24 prime gods? However, before the true gods and the 24 prime gods could react, Lin Yuan raised his right hand, instantly occupying 1,200,000,000 spatial layers, and a terrifying force swept over all true gods and prime gods. This, the first to feel despair, were the many true gods, who immediately sensed everything about themselves beginning to shatter, their physical souls and more. No, a large number of true gods turned into dust, even the oldest upper-rank gods were unable to resist even a fraction of Lin Yuan's strike, and their wills instantly plunged into darkness, leaving only their sparkling divine lattices in place. 1,200,000,000 spatial layers shook back and forth, quickly enveloping the 24 prime gods. Each prime god looked terrified. They tried to hide deeper into the spatial layers, only to find every layer they could occupy was also covered by Lin Yuan's strike. Longshan Ling outside the Longshan Great Hall. The members of the Longshan family were still excitedly discussing. Was that the ocean of light just now? The holiest world where the gods reside. I didn't expect the patriarch could enter whenever he wanted. Nonsense, with the patriarch's strength evident, even in the ocean of light, he must be among the most formidable spirits, just below the prime gods. The faces of the people from the Longshan family were full of pride. Right, just now the patriarch mentioned negotiating a deal with the gods. What does that mean? A family member seemed to think of something and couldn't help but raise their own question. Should be just the normal meaning of a trade, right? Not sure, but since it's a negotiation, it could either succeed or fail. Right, but what if the patriarch fails to negotiate with the gods? The members of the Longshan family thought about it, and couldn't help but show a worried expression on their faces. Hopefully, the patriarch didn't already have a conflict or misunderstanding with the gods just after entering the ocean of light. Just then, a family member from the Longshan family seemed to have noticed something, their voice trembling a bit. Look up at the sky. The sky? Though puzzled, the people of the Longshan family looked toward the expanse above. But upon doing so, they witnessed a scene they would never forget in their lifetimes. They saw that, originally in the firmament above, eternal stars were suspended. However, under everyone's incredulous gazes, one of the stars began to fall, followed by a cluster of stars falling, and then, stars across the entire firmament fell. Dense and numerous stars, suspended in the sky for perhaps tens of thousands of years, all began to fall simultaneously, like a meteor shower. Stars rained down upon the earth. Chapter 596 Twilight of the Gods. Subscribe please. Outside the Longshan Great Hall. Many members of the Longshan family, trembling in spirit, looked up at the sky. There, massive stars fell from the heavens like raindrops. It was not merely a few stars falling, but large swathes and indeed every star across the entire sky. This was simply unthinkable. Everyone's mind was muddled, staring dumbfounded at the shocking scene before them. You must understand, in this world, the stars above were not just stars, they were the abode of the gods and the divine kingdoms, symbolizing the immortality of the deities. Even those without any belief held the stars above with utmost reverence, the pinnacle of what life could achieve. For ages, in nearly everyone's eyes, the stars above were eternal, unchanged from their birth until their death, and from their descendants' birth until their death, always the same stars. Thus, to many people, the stars above seemed as eternal as the world itself. But now, the worldview of many members of the Longshan family began to shatter as the stars all began to fall simultaneously. What's going on? The stars, those are the divine kingdoms of the deities, how could they fall? The fall of the divine kingdoms means the deities are perishing, but how is that possible? Deities are immortal, how could they perish? The members of the Longshan family couldn't believe it, some even thought they were dreaming, slapping themselves several times, only to find they could still feel pain, horror nearly overflowing in their hearts. This is bad, the clan leader just entered the ocean of light. The rapid fall of the divine kingdoms clearly indicates something drastic has happened in the ocean of light and the abyss of darkness. Could something have happened to the clan leader? A few heads of the Longshan family thought further. Lin Yuan was a pillar of their clan, about to lead the family to the peak of the plateau of myriad nations, and now this had happened? I hope nothing has happened to the clan leader. A few elders of the Longshan family silently thought. Above the sky, countless stars that had hung in the sky for eons began to fall all at once, and not only the Longshan family could see it. At this moment, in the vast realms of humanity, plateau of myriad nations, and other places teeming with life, beings also noticed the changes above. Are the stars falling? Are the deities perishing? How is this possible? How could so many deities perish at once? In many secluded corners, demigods who had survived tens or hundreds of thousands of years were equally stunned. They had lived longer, knew the history of the past, and were aware of the existence of divine wars. Deities were not incapable of perishing, it was just that they lived for so long that almost all beings believed them to be eternal. But in reality, deities could die, such as during the divine wars. During the divine war, true gods of the ocean of light and the abyss of darkness would slaughter each other, leading to the perishing of deities. But even in the most brutal divine wars, the death of several dozen or even hundreds of deities was the maximum, but now, the number of fallen stars is in the thousands. Many demigod veterans felt their hearts slow, because the scene before them was too soul-shattering. Some even wondered if the gods of the ocean of light and the abyss of darkness had been wiped out in one fell swoop. Otherwise, how could so many stars fall at once? What exactly is going on? What really happened in the ocean of light and the abyss of darkness? Could it be that the 24 prime gods are jointly slaughtering the deities? Many demigod veterans couldn't help but speculate in this direction, their faces unconsciously showing fear. The only ones capable of causing such mass perishing of true gods were the prime gods, and not just one but 24 prime gods in a joint massacre. If even one prime god disagreed and resisted, the frequency of falling stars wouldn't be this rapid. From the area and range of the falling stars, demigod veterans vaguely deduced that a one-sided massacre of true gods was taking place in the ocean of light or the abyss of darkness. This massacre was one-sided, with the slaughtered true gods having no power to resist. This made all the demigod veterans somewhat disheartened. They did not know how much they had sacrificed to ignite their divine fire, step into the 7th level, then lie in hiding, secretly gathering faith, hoping to consolidate a divine kingdom, and elevating it. And yet, now they saw the true gods, whom they considered their ultimate goal, being slaughtered in the ocean of light and the abyss of darkness like pigs and dogs. Could the deities they revered so highly also have such weak moments when they couldn't determine their own fates and could only wait to die? For a moment, many demigod veterans were unstable, and the divine fires they had ignited began to flicker. What's the use of gathering faith anymore? Elevating which divine kingdom? Even if one became a true god and entered the ocean of light, what could they do? It might not even be as safe or as comfortable as the human realm. Why would the prime gods slaughter the true gods? For faith. That doesn't make sense. The 24 prime gods already occupy the majority of faith in humanity. Even if they cleanse all the true gods, their own faith won't undergo a qualitative change. Is it because they are worried about their positions being threatened? That's also unlikely. Not to mention the power disparity between a prime god and a true god, the number of prime gods is fixed. Even if there were an outstandingly talented true god, without the true god form, they still couldn't become a prime god, let alone shake the position of a prime god. Chapter 597 Twilight of the Gods. Subscribe please. Too many demigod old monsters were communicating rapidly. As many as 24 upper-rank gods, actually entering the arena to slaughter ordinary true gods, a relatively younger demigod said indignantly, wanting to condemn the 24 prime gods. Just at this moment, in the higher sky, situated above all the stars, hung 24 colossal stars, which belonged to the divine kingdoms of the prime gods. And now, following the fall of star after star to the mortal realm, these 24 colossal stars also began to fall one by one. 1, 2, 5, 10. In just a few breaths, more than 10 prime gods' divine kingdoms had plummeted to the mortal world. This silenced the demigods of the mortal realm who were condemning and criticizing the 24 prime gods, and immediately after, they plunged into confusion. It turned out that it was not only the true gods that were perishing. Were the prime gods also perishing? This scene filled all the demigods with an unprecedented terror. The prime gods were falling. And it was a mass downfall at that. Then who exactly was the one carrying out the slaughter? If the 24 prime gods were joining forces to slaughter the true gods, how could the prime gods possibly be falling as well? It is known, the battles between prime gods are long, and even for the strongest light prime god and the dark god, killing the weakest prime god is almost impossible. Not to mention a crushing defeat like this. What on earth happened in the ocean of light and the dark abyss? Murmured an elderly demigod whose lifespan was coming to an end and whose divine fire was about to go out. Even the prime gods were perishing, something that not even a divine war had ever seen. It's the twilight of the gods, this is the twilight of the gods, another demigod thought silently to himself. The gods here refer to both true gods and prime gods. Not good, the divine kingdoms falling into the mortal realm will have an immeasurable impact on the mortal world, speculated one demigod, seemingly recalling something. Even the mighty demigods were shocked by the sight of the stars falling from the sky, but very few of them considered what consequences these stars falling into the mortal realm might lead to. Years ago, the divine wars of the gods caused several stars to fall into the mortal realm, leading to irreversible destructive effects on the mortal world. Tens of thousands of years have not recovered, and those forbidden and desolate places in the mortal realm are exactly where the divine kingdoms ultimately fell. After all, what fell were not mere stars, but divine kingdoms, containing vast amounts of energy. The fallout from just a few stars was severe enough, now with the stars cascading, and among them, even more vast divine kingdoms of the prime gods. If these divine kingdoms really hit the ground, perhaps the mortal realm might still exist, but 9 out of 10 of all living beings dwelling there would surely perish. These demigod old monsters wouldn't be likely to survive much longer either. This is not the twilight of the gods, this is the apocalypse of all beings, proclaimed a demigod who showed himself, not caring to hide any longer, for in any case, all would die. As for running, with the speed at which the stars fell to the mortal world, where could the demigods possibly flee? And with so many stars falling together, no matter how far they ran, they would still be within the range of the divine kingdoms. Just as many demigods turned pale, realizing they were about to face death. A black and white yin-yang barrier, slicing across the vast mortal realm in the form of a giant net, caught all the stars falling into the mortal world within its grasp. At the ends of the mortal realm, Lin Yuan's 2 primordial spirits, the Taiyin primordial spirit and the Taiyang divine spirit, stood aloft in the sky. The giant net of yin-yang taiji that sliced through the entire mortal realm was precisely Lin Yuan's doing. Long ago, Lin Yuan had his sights set on the divine kingdoms of the gods, which had existed for tens of thousands of years, absorbing countless faith and containing massive amounts of pure energy. Now that Lin Yuan's true body had gone to negotiate in the ocean of light with the gods, should the negotiations fail and fighting begin, Lin Yuan naturally wouldn't waste the falling stars. Even if he had no use for them himself, he could use the primal force to revert all divine kingdoms back to their original source, turning them into the purest energy, for the origin fine gold to absorb. With indirect means, they were brought back to the main world. Whoosh! Along with the unfurling of the immense yin-yang taiji net of black and white, countless divine kingdoms of the gods appeared within Lin Yuan's inner world. To accommodate so many divine kingdoms at once, even including those of prime gods, would certainly cause the inner world of any other 9th-rank powerhouse to burst. Yet, the apparent size of Lin Yuan's inner world was close to 200 million miles in diameter, and it even established 120 million spatial layers. Most importantly, Lin Yuan had 3 such inner worlds. One for his true self, one for the Taiyang divine spirit, and one for the Taiyin primordial spirit. For 300 years, Lin Yuan's 2 primordial spirits had already used the illusory reality secret technique to turn into flesh and blood, and then, with the aid of the mysterious gourd, they amplified their physical bodies and inner worlds to the current limit. Too many, too many. Lin Yuan's mind was filled with pleasure. As each divine kingdom entered his inner world, it was quickly dissolved, segregated, and then integrated into the bell-shaped origin fine gold. The vast mortal realm. The numerous demigods, who were just preparing to close their eyes and await death, suddenly discovered an extra layer of black and white yin-yang taiji giant net under the vault of heaven. All stars falling into the mortal realm disappeared the moment they touched the giant net, as if they had never existed. What is this? It actually stopped the divine kingdoms from falling down. The many ancient demigods couldn't believe it. Divine kingdoms falling from atop the sky carried terrifying energy and impact, definitely far surpassing a single strike from a true god burning their divine body and divine powers. Countless stars falling were akin to the gods igniting everything in a final blaze of glory. Even the prime gods dared not withstand it directly. But now, under that black and white giant net, all falling stars were easily nullified, including the vast divine kingdoms of prime gods. The owner of this giant net, some ancient demigods trembled inwardly, faintly guessing that the owner of the giant net might be the source behind the fall of the gods and the prime gods. Otherwise, how could things be so coincidental? The stars suspended in the heavens had just started to fall, and they were immediately caught by the giant net. And the strength to effortlessly bear the impact of so many stars falling, couldn't the slaughter of gods and prime gods also be within the realm of possibility? Ocean of light. Under the strike driven by Lin Yuan's inner world, a terrifying force crushed everything it touched through layer upon layer of space. In just an instant, over 80% of true gods had perished, and the remaining 20% were upper-rank gods at their peak. Even if reduced to dust, they could reconvene. The divine beings of this part of the world had undergone a transformation, foregoing their original flesh and blood bodies. Their divine bodies were composed of the purest faith. There were no weaknesses. However, it's unfortunate that under the strike that vibrated through multiple spatial layers time and again, no matter how many times these upper-rank gods reconvened, they would turn to dust once more. Even the lofty prime gods, caught off guard, saw their divine bodies shatter numerous times. Lin Yuan's strike primarily targeted the prime gods. As for the true gods, they mostly only endured the aftershocks. Thus, before a small number of true gods had entirely perished, some prime gods had begun to fall. What exactly is this? What level of power is this? Goddess of the magic web, didn't you say that the Longshan Patriarch didn't surpass the 9th level? This is a supreme god, this is the power at the level of a supreme god. One by one, the prime gods roared, using every method to resist the strike that pierced through countless spatial layers, but to no avail. Their divine bodies shattered over and over again. Even with the profound depths of the prime gods, they couldn't endure such repeated destruction. Go! The dark god from the dark abyss didn't hesitate to try and flee, but quickly encountered the barrier of spatial layers sealed by the light god. Light god, you deserve to die. The prime gods of the dark abyss cursed the light god in their hearts. The barrier sealing the ocean of light spatial layers, to beings like these prime gods, posed difficulty to break, but it was just difficulty. It would simply take some time. But now, where was there any time? Boom, boom, boom. Prime god after prime god from the dark abyss tried to escape, but failed to do so. Chapter 598 Endless Realizations, Never Fully Understood. Subscribe please, Longshan Patriarch, we are willing to submit. Yes, we are willing to offer our divine lattice, as long as the Longshan Patriarch spares our lives and commands us at will hereafter. We also ask the Longshan Patriarch for mercy. Witnessing true gods and even prime gods falling one after another, the surviving gods were instantly chilled to the bone and began to beg for mercy. Even the divine spirits who had lived through long ages trembled with fear in the face of life and death. Compared to death, offering up their divine lattice seemed like an acceptable sacrifice, especially since Lin Yuan's displayed power had clearly surpassed the prime god, reaching the level of a supreme god. To plead with a supreme god was not a shameful thing. Willing to submit. Lin Yuan's expression was calm, unmoved. If Lin Yuan had entered the ocean of light intending to negotiate with the gods, and they had agreed to his demands, offering their divine lattice voluntarily, Lin Yuan really wouldn't have exterminated them all. But now, having already taken action, Lin Yuan had killed so many true gods and prime gods, it seemed somewhat redundant to accept the god's submission at this point. After all, Lin Yuan's time in this world was only 1,110 years, these gods submitting now would surely be reluctant and unwilling. Once Lin Yuan ended his journey and returned to the main world, what actions these gods might take once they lost the deterrence of Lin Yuan was unpredictable. Therefore, with the intention of eradicating them from the roots, since Lin Yuan had chosen to take action, there was no need to leave any leeway. Voluntarily offering the divine lattice. Even if they didn't offer it, Lin Yuan could take it himself. And he could also gain a divine kingdom containing vast energies, useful for enhancing the origin fine gold. How to choose was clear to Lin Yuan. Boom boom boom. Accompanied by terrifying energy vibrations, the spatial layers shook intensely. Within the ocean of light, all true gods had completely perished, unable to withstand such overwhelming power, no matter how ancient. Only 8 prime gods survived. Even so, these 8 prime gods had paid a heavy price, their energies severely depleted. From the moment Lin Yuan had started to act until now, it had been less than 10 breaths' time. Open. The prime god of light burned his divine power, finally unlocking the spatial layer's seal of the ocean of light. Run. Hurry and run. The remaining 8 prime gods, not daring to hesitate, occupied deeper spatial layers and quickly distanced themselves from the ocean of light. Lin Yuan stood in place, his gaze deep. The prime gods were the darlings of this world, and the true divine nature embodied some of the authority of this world. The prime gods mustered their strength to flee, and even if Lin Yuan opened 120 million layers of space, it would be difficult to stop them in a short time. After all, essentially, Lin Yuan and the 9th-rank prime god still existed at the same life level, albeit Lin Yuan's foundation was slightly stronger. As long as they were in this world, the prime god's methods of escape would far surpass those of regular 9th-stage peak powerhouses. Initially, Lin Yuan hadn't expected his venture into the ocean of light would result in the death of so many prime gods at once. Lin Yuan had planned to settle all true gods, while the remaining prime gods were to be hunted down one by one. The prime gods had indeed powerful escaping tactics, but if pressed hard, once Lin Yuan controlled more and more vast and deep spatial layers, these prime gods would still be like birds in a cage, still manageable. What Lin Yuan hadn't anticipated was the cooperation from the prime god of light, who had voluntarily sealed the ocean of light, turning the dwelling place of the gods into a complete prison, giving Lin Yuan the opportunity to directly eliminate 16 prime gods. Before Lin Yuan's arrival, the strongest life in this world were the prime gods, and many of the machinations within the ocean of light were targeted at the prime gods. The initial sealing of the ocean of light spatial layers was meant to briefly trap the other prime gods. Unexpectedly, this now became the death warrant for all prime gods. In fact, under such circumstances, with Lin Yuan's power fully unleashed, both true gods and prime gods would have died within 5 breaths. However, such a forceful unleashing of power was too terrifying, and Lin Yuan was worried about damaging the true divine nature and prime divine nature within the gods. The divine lattice was not indestructible. Lin Yuan could easily destroy the demigod lattice if he wished. True divine nature might be vastly more robust than the demigod lattice, but it might not withstand a full blow from Lin Yuan, and as for the prime divine nature, it might withstand it, or it might not. But Lin Yuan didn't want to gamble. After all, each divine lattice, prime divine nature, represented a shortcut for Lin Yuan, their value far greater than the true gods and prime gods themselves. So when he had acted just now, Lin Yuan had been extremely cautious, carefully regulating his strength to avoid affecting any divine lattice or prime divine nature. The prime divine nature of the god of divination. Lin Yuan raised his right hand. A luminescent white divine lattice slowly floated, belonging to the god of divination among the 24 prime gods. In the initial wave of crushing power, the god of divination was the first prime god to fall, not because the god of divination had the weakest survival capabilities. In fact, the god of divination's capability to survive ranked among the top 3 out of the 24 prime gods. The easy death of the god of divination was entirely due to the backlash from the door to the myriad realms, with only a tenth of its strength remaining. With the god of divination's nature, having suffered such a blow, it should have hidden within its divine kingdom and not come out. But the opportunity related to a supreme god was too tempting. Even knowing its severely wounded state, the god of divination still wanted to join in. What if? What if it fortuitously received the opportunity from a supreme god?